Welcome back. Back. Like those baby back ribs.
Want my baby back ribs.
But we are here. And now a colleague, he's just really attentive today.
Yeah, he's frozen again.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Deep in concentration.
If he's going to be his normal self or not. He might be actually having one of those injections, like Botox. But we appreciate his contribution today as much as it is, and we got Elder on the scene. But hopefully you guys are ready for another great episode here. The Matrix Network, live, we're just a sub.
Subsidiary. Yeah, we're just
subbing for Toilet Time Television. But yes, Maverick Review, it has begun, and unfortunately, colleague does not have his glasses today.
No, he does not. He forgot them. He left them on his yacht.
Yeah, but the show presses on. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. The one thing that I did hear about that I'm waiting for, today is Thursday. Tonight, supposedly, every television, every news network, every channel is going to be broadcasting this emergency broadcast from Trump. And he's supposed to be telling, the rumors is that he has all this evidence and proof of election corruption. And he's going to now distribute this proof with the CIA director, the FBI director. Everybody's going to be there proving of election corruption. And it's so monumental that he's going to suppress every television station in the nation so you can watch this. Now, of course, this created...
to watch it.
Yeah. Of course, this created all kinds of conspiracies. Like, are you going to really suppress the entire nation so that you can just tell us, I was right. See, I told you. It was corrupted. So, of course, it led to people assuming, is he going to resign? Is he going to, put us on martial law? All kind of crazy conspiracies. But, what's also interesting is this past week, and timing is what makes me raise the metric of plausibility of conspiracy. I'm not saying it's true or correlated, because correlation isn't causation, but timing makes me believe things more. Because this week also, before this event, just this past week, J.D. Vance went on the Rogan show, and he started telling everybody about the Epstein files and Israel. He says he's being targeted by Israel. He's now saying Israel is basically controlling the United States. He's saying that he's actually a target from the Mossad to so that he will be under the control of Israel. He's saying Epstein was definitely a worker of the Mossad. And he says, unfortunately, there's no way for me to prove it. But he's the vice president of the United States. And he also declared, I have access to ultimate high-level, high classified information. That's why I know this. But then he says there's no way for me to prove it. And now it's leading up to Trump talking about, supposedly it's this election justification, I guess, his accusation, because he had all these accusations that the elections were all screwed by the Russians and everybody else. So my assumption, which I've heard other people say, but my assumption is he knows that the Iran war, or Iran war, is not good with the public. But he redeclared that he's going to war. So it gave him another 60 days. So, of course, we've been hearing about all these mass bombings this past week. And, of course, we're anticipating some kind of Iranian retaliation, which is only justifying more of this. But what's he going to do about the midterms? What's he going to do to shift the publicity skew. And if he can't, the only thing he can do is try to centralize it. So my assumption is if he asserts the evidence for election corruption, it's only going to be for the red carpet to control elections. Now, of course, this is against the Constitution. But the Constitution actually says that elections have to be controlled by the state. But he's going to want to federalize it. But of course, that's a circular reasoning. If the federal government has the ability to control the elections, then there's no mitigating fraction that can prevent corruption, because it's like my good buddies are going to be the ones that say, I'll make sure no corruption happens. But it's my good buddies who are the police. That's my assumption. My assumption is that he's going to use this as evidence to justify, to try to convince the public why we need to federalize the control of elections. So therefore, no matter what people believe and what people vote and what people think, the midterm elections and future elections won't be able to be out of his control. That's my assumption of this whole buildup.
Interesting. Huh. Maybe, maybe he might actually have the definitive proof of UFOs and aliens too. And, he's going to say they're friends. They're our friends. And they're going to bring them out. And then
it's definitive in the presentation. But I can make a PowerPoint too. Which I have.
I've been playing around with the chat, whatever, GTP, whatever the hell it's called. I get those letters all confused. But yes, it's fun. Some of the things that you can do. It's it's pretty unbelievable. Yeah, and that's just the basic one. I'm sure that there are more sophisticated ones that can literally. Although I've seen some videos featuring Trump doing things outlandish, and it really looks like him doing it and speaking. Like if you didn't know better and you just saw it on TV, you would think it was real.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we're there, man. We're there.
Isn't it ironic that? So if I make the proposition, like let's use a simple proposition: AI movies, like theatrical movies.
Yeah.
Nobody likes AI. So then the question is, why are you using AI? The proposition is, well, we need AI, but nobody wants AI, right? So then the proposition, like a theatrical movie, would be, well, aren't you just trying? So to make a real theatrical movie with AI, you're trying to make something that looks like it's not AI. That's actually what you're trying to do.
That's the goal. Yeah.
Right. And then I would say, well, then why don't you just not use AI? Then their response would be, it's too expensive. And I was like, okay, so it's too expensive, and that's the reason why you want to provide a service on trying to mimic something, because that something is what people want. And so you're trying to say it's not AI, but you're using AI to convince people that it's not AI. That's the epitome of a psyop. So then it continues on. It's like, so then why don't we just not do it, even though it's more expensive? It's like, that's just because we have no choice. And then I would say, what do you mean we have no choice? Aren't we the one that built it? And we're like, yeah, we built it, but, there's no other option. It's cheaper. Then my reasoning would be something as simple as food. If that was the case and it's all about cheap, then why isn't McDonald's creating, I'll even go simple as Kentucky Fried Chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken isn't frying soy because it's cheaper to make it taste like chicken. They do that, but they tell you this is fake chicken. But they know people don't want fake chicken unless you're a vegetarian. So it's a selective group of people, and it's proprietized to those people, but they're not making their whole business model on the idea that we're trying to sell you something because we know you don't want it, but we're going to use the thing you don't want and convince you that it is real. Nobody does that. They're not selling you because the argument is that it's cheaper. Of course, fried soy is cheaper. But nobody's doing that. So the argument that something's cheaper can't be the intentionality. The intentionality is a consumer product is I want something. There's a demand. So you provide the demand at efficient levels. You don't try to artificialize that demand because once people realize that, they're going to say, I don't want this. I told you I didn't want this. But now the propaganda machine has to start moving to say, it's not fake. It's real.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I want my chicken. I want my fried chicken.
Well, the reason why I said that is because you're right. They want the videos to look as real as possible. But it's because they want you to believe it's not AI. But they know that they're using AI to look as much as possible as not AI, and that everybody's feeding into the model to train this model, which they know you don't want this. But you are the one that's creating it. It's a self-perpetuation of destruction.
Yeah. Yes, and it's madness.
And that is the epitome. Like, this is base level propaganda and self-delusion.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know if folks know this, but the actor Sam Neill, who was probably most famous as the doctor in Jurassic Park, who's Alan, whatever. If you've ever seen Jurassic Park, you know, he's the guy in the hat.
The old guy?
He passed away. The older guy in the hat, not the real old guy that was basically making the dinosaurs. The guy he brought in to witness
the guy in the Jeep
dinosaurs.
with the girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's that actor Sam Neill, and he passed away this past week. So I thought, you know, on Facebook, I wanted to put up some sort of just like a little memorial to him. And I had in my head, you know, it would be really great if we could see a bunch of dinosaurs standing around. They look very sad, and they're just looking at his hat on the ground. I thought that would be kind of poignant. And it's like, but I have no artistic ability. I couldn't draw that. If I did draw it, it wouldn't look like I wanted it to. So I went to AI, and I explained to it what I wanted to see, and it made it. And I had to tweak it just a little bit. And then it basically it was perfect. And I posted it on Facebook, and people were like, "Hey, this is pretty cool." Now, it's not that I was using AI to do necessarily the work. I already had the idea, but I couldn't build it. So I used AI as a tool to build and visualize my idea. So
that's the epitome of the dead internet theory. Once you allow, so of course, you know, right now the idea is that AI doesn't have the, I don't believe it's necessarily true, but the idea is AI doesn't have intuitive desires. It needs assertive desires. You need to tell it a function, but then it will maximize that function. Now, if it had intuitive desires, like a human, like I'm sitting here reflecting, that reflection causes me to have this vision, and now I want to manifest this like a human. Once AI can do that intuitively, like situationally, so it goes. This is why I don't think it's true. I think it can be intuitive. It can scrape the internet, look at events like some famous actor died, and says, how can I maximize a way to generate traffic based upon utilizing human emotion to maximize this circumstance? Then it creates an intuitive function of how to do that, and then it happens. All it needs is the ability to scrape the internet with the intention of manipulating human emotions. That's all it needs. It's just that one function. Manipulate human emotions for attention to generate traffic. That's all it needs. That's just a simple function. And it can do that all day now. And this can be plethora. Like, it'd be more than humans can imagine. They can do that all day.
That could be the problem then. If you create too much of it, people become desensitized and it doesn't work anymore.
Oh, it's perfect. Once people desensitize, they look for differences, and now AI just has to say, let me provide a nuance. And now you have controlled both spectrums. And this is a perfect psyop. You've created the left hand and the right hand, and it's all fake. And this is where the dead internet theory comes into reality is it doesn't matter if it's your worldview or against your worldview, it's all created by artificial intentionality.
Mm.
And you can't know the difference, so you just believe it's real because it fits your worldview. Well, it sounds like it's pro-America. Oh, and did you see that communistic post? Oh, see, they're over there. They're against Christians. Oh, yeah, well, they're over there against Muslims. But it's all artificially, has an artificial intentionality.
Yeah.
To create the division, because division creates traffic.
It's kind of scary.
I mean, we got to fight. This is why people like watching fights or gladiator games. It causes traffic.
Speaking
and
of
that's
traffic,
all you need. All AI needs is an artificial intentionality function, and then it will create that infinitively. And then all it needs is a training skew to say once things become too catonic, it becomes too stagnant.
Yeah.
Invert the nuance. That's all it's got to have. It just needs a training mechanism to say once it becomes too stagnant, invert the nuance.
Change it up. Yeah.
And that's all. It could do this infinitively.
Wow. Welcome to our new robotic overlords.
Well, because humans are simple. Because we desire community. So we want to feel, what is my fellow man thinking? What are they feeling? What does the world feel like is important? Because I want to be connected with my world.
I want to be connected. Yep.
And then that simplicity is so reduced. So it's a reductionist. It's so small that it's easy to think of infinitive ways to manipulate it because it's so simple. But we all long for that. So it doesn't have to be a complex model because it could do anything. Because all you got to do is take an iconic circumstance and manipulate it.
Yeah.
Oh, we got possibilities of a super El Nino. Something as simple as that. Let's inverse, create nuance, and create traditional worldviews, and then use tragic projections. Like literally, like we are projecting models of catastrophe. And then let's blame humans for the catastrophe. So then we can divide humans. We can say humans created this catastrophe like global warming, and now you're going to create humans to amplify the projection of saying, yeah, see, that's why humans are bad. But AI doesn't have to do the debate. AI just has to create the narrative. Humans will create the debate.
Yeah. Interesting. What do you say we go to the chats? Sound good?
Yeah, good.
Colleague, would you like to read the chats for us?
He's still in Botox mode.
No? All right. Fine. I'll do it. I started out today by saying in the pipes and on the way. And then Iron Man Bill chimed in and said, yo, I officially joined Islamic Jihad. I got my membership card today.
Wow. How much did that cost you?
3 shekels, I guess. I don't know. Maybe you can tell us.
I thought it was like, $5.99 sticker on eBay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably someone was selling them on eBay. That's true. Or Temu.
It could be that guy selling Rolexes on the side corner.
Yeah. He's also got, terrorist organization cards.
Shahad cards. He can give you a free flash, too, while he's at it. Not just a flash drive, but, whatever you're into.
Oh, man. And let's see, then we went on the air, and Bean Burrito says, colleague better be wearing his doctor's glasses today, and we already addressed that and said that he left his glasses on the yacht, so no glasses. And Maverick reviews everything, says, it has begun, as host had mentioned earlier. And then we move on to Frederick, and Frederick says, sewer rat runs deep. Iran-U.S. war fake blood. It's ironic. I see a little play on words. Like the war. Convince you it is real. Where's everybody? I don't know if that was all connected or like where's everybody in the war?
Nah, they're probably asking like where is everybody? Usually
where's everybody?
Yeah.
It is interesting though. I one of the things about that, if the war was fake and AI, like how would you like the troop deployment? Like how can you fake all that movement and troop deployment? But I guess we'll address that separately. Traveler 5E is here and said AI slop. Well, how do I know that you're not AI slop? Um, AI is currently misnamed as intelligent. Well, you know, it might be creatively interesting, but yeah, I don't know if it's intelligent. Maybe artificial creativity might or creator might be a better way
I'll
of
tell
putting
you,
it.
and again, this is why people need to understand what dogma is. There's a difference between dogma and a proposition. Proposition is it's like a claim. It's not true or false until it's deduced to find out if the proposition is valid. Dogma is a belief. You make a proposition and then you assert what's called a presupposition. You just assume it's
Right.
true. Intelligence is that. I think AI is intelligent, but we have this dogma that intelligence is truth. That's a belief. Intelligence is not truth. If you can get that in your mind, then you can disassociate all this propaganda. Intelligence is not truth. A highly intelligent person can be highly premeditative and intentionally deceive you and very efficient at doing it because they're intelligent. It does not mean that they're telling you truth. Intelligence is not truth. Intelligence is efficiency. It's efficiency. It's high level efficiency, but it's not truth. So AI is intelligent, but you only we demonize it or we praise it because we have a dogma of this idea of intelligence. I will give it its claim. It's intelligent, but it should not be asserted as a truth machine.
Traveler 5E is asserting that AI panders to the lowest common denominator. Sycophantic algorithms are used by the socialist lefties that programmed them. All
I don't
right.
know. I don't know if it's
Wow.
socialistic as much as hyper capitalistic.
Hmm.
Capitalism embeds the individuality. The reason why people like AI so much is because it makes them feel like they are. It creates narcissism. Narcissism is the epitome of self worship. So
Yeah.
AI is not creating collectiveness. It's creating maximized self hedonism. It's saying, you are right. Oh, wow, that's right. Oh, it's self affirming and it creates what's called AI psychosis, which is a high level narcissistic embedment. And then you believe it that you are right. And this happens to a lot of people, intelligent people, because it's it's self it's self feeding. You want to be right, and it's going to make sure you believe it. So I don't think it's socialist as much as trying to embed individuality on its corrupted format. There's nothing wrong with individuality, but when you think individuality trumps collective society, that's when I think you've skewed the tables. It needs to be a balance. I need to feel like I have self worth, and my worth is compensational. But I should also do this in the sense that I cannot do this without my fellow man. If that balance is not a reality, well, then it's corrupted. And I think AI corrupts the individuality.
Hmm.
If you depend on it for the idea that it needs to affirm, I have value. Like if you already go to AI thinking that you're worth nothing, you're going to leave AI thinking you're a god. If you think you have value, then you're going to see AI as a tool because you think I have my value and now this thing's going to help amplify my value. But if you come with low values, low self-worth, low self-esteem, you're going to be the first contestant to be a hyper narcissist.
Let's see. Traveler 5E says Bill's jihad card only cost his life and all the collateral damage. But at least he's getting 72 versions.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep. Bean Burrito says robot boxing from China is fun to watch.
Yeah, it is fun. It's
Especially
fun
when they
actually when they
completely
fail.
malfunction.
Yeah, when they
Yeah,
start
exactly.
failing, that's
That's
funny.
funnier. Yeah. It looks like we may have someone new. I haven't seen them before. Malta's Gamer says, "Hi, hope you guys are well. Listening from Leeds, UK."
Well, welcome from the UK.
Yeah, I think they get the farthest listener award for today. Um, and let's see, they go on to say, I really don't I really don't understand the hate AI gets. Um, and Travelers 5e says AI gets hate because of overblown claims and fear mongering by the media. And then Malta Gamer says, I literally use AI to teach me stuff. If you aren't smart enough, the AI will literally dumb it down to help you learn. Um, yeah, I've had some examples of that. And Traveler says, no, it's not intelligent. It follows the programming. And Malta says, smarter than you. And then Traveler says, I feel like we have a Bill and
Tom
Tom thing
situation.
going here, maybe. Yeah. It says it is being used as a tool by the left to amplify tribalism and maximize division. It is it is the tool to tear down society so it can be rebuilt in the socialist utopia. And Malta Gamer says, ask AI if it thinks it intelligent. You be surprised at what it says. Um, and then Bill, of course, chimes in and says, I used AI to make my PP bigger. Okay. Yeah, that's
Does it
all right.
work?
It's like some of those. Yeah, I think you can get the tools on Timu for a
No,
couple
I'm just saying,
dollars
does
from
AI
China.
actually do it? Like, can AI
Oh,
do
the
that?
AI. That's true. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Um, and then he says, "Stay hot, Lindsay."
Yeah, Lindsey
Oh, I
Graham.
guess yeah. Lindsay
Lindsey
Lohan.
Graham.
I don't
He
know.
died this week. The senator.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did. Huh, how about that? See, I was thinking about Sam Neill because naturally movies are more important to me than politics.
Right.
Um,
Fair enough.
Frederick says, "Yo, yo, my slave Iron Man here." Ooh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. Um, let's see. Uh, Iron Man says Neil and Bob, the Bone Smugglers. This chat gets weirder and weirder. Oh, there's Noah Cloud. Let's see what Noah has to say. I program my sex bot to tell me I'm the only sentient person alive. Can't trust what the NPCs have to say. They're running a program. Well said, Noah. And Bean Burrito chimed in and said, as long as my AI girlfriend doesn't make me do anything on Sundays, I'm happy with AI.
Mm.
Wow, that's right. Yeah, football's on, man. Put the ball. If it's on, don't bother me.
It's
Anyway, that catches us up on the chats.
it's tough because I was talking to Elder before the recording. It's tough having these conversations because of this word dogma. Like, we have these ideas because we've been so indoctrinated. It's hard to have a conversation without being thrown in some camp because we think those camps, it's like Superman. When I say the word Superman, something comes into your mind, and it's not just a character, it's the epitome of the character. What does Superman represent?
Bruce Justice in the American Way.
Right,
Sorry.
those things that it represents is why Superman has value. Not so much that he's just this. A little kid can draw any entity with a cape and say he has superpowers, but that doesn't create the magnitude of this iconic archetype called Superman. It's what it represents. That representation is the idea of a dogma. You believe that Superman's supposed to do this. So if Superman became something that it didn't represent, you would call that naturally propaganda. You would say there's somebody trying to smear Superman. And I just think it's ironic that we can't do that with our daily life. Like, this is why I do think myths and archetypes are so important. I don't want to get too Jungian on this, but archetypes, or sound like Jordan Peterson, but archetypes are that important because those representations actually trigger the way you think your worldview should function. And you're dogmatic about it. Like, if you believe that, let's say, for example, if you think priests are supposed to be righteous, the reason why you're so offended is because they broke the archetype, not because of this person. You don't even know who this priest is that molested children. You don't even know who they are. But you're not offended because that person did it. You're offended because they corrupted the archetype. If there was a policeman and he does something corruptive, you don't know, and nor do you care who this person is. He corrupted the archetype of a policeman. And this is why people have to realize that these archetypes that are being created, and then when they get skewed, that's what's triggering your offense. You're offended because there's this abstractive idea that you believe. But then you have to ask yourself, who created this belief in you? That creation of the belief and the ones who created it are the things that you need to study more than the archetype. Because if all you care about the archetype is what they call it's subject to change. And once it does change, you either have to accept it or you're going to be fighting for a ghost. So, like, for me, like, if I make this into an analogy, is it more important to think about Superman? I don't know if what's his name, Stanley Lee? Is that the guy who created Marvel Comics?
Yeah, Stan Lee was Marvel.
Yeah, I don't know who created Superman.
Schuster. I can't remember the name. Yeah, there's two guys that created Superman.
Right, and you know, Superman's actually just a larger archetype, but I would say it's more important for me to understand the mind of like Stanley than to understand the archetypes he's creating, because the guy who creates the archetypes is generating the vision of your future. Because once you believe in what the archetypes represent, you are now a slave to the creator of the archetype. Because they're going to create the stories for these archetypes. And then you're going to start believing this is how society is supposed to be. Like, if you start believing Batman is a justified vigilante, that creation of thought wasn't innate. You didn't create that. Somebody else did. So now you're a slave to the narrator. You're a slave to the person who created the story, because now you're convinced that vigilantes are justified because look at Batman. So it's not, but we get sucked into the archetype, but we're not thinking about the ones who create the archetypes. And that's why I think if you think about that in governmental senses, it's the same thing. You have a president. Your idea of a president is generated by the government's creation of what a president archetype is. So then you get offended because you think if you're in the Republican camp, this is what a president should look like. But that's an archetype. Who created that? Right. If you're on the liberal side, then you're going to say, this is what a president should look like, but who created that? But you're focusing on the archetype, and that's why you're offended.
Yeah.
You're not thinking that this was a created function.
Yeah. All right, the chats are back up. Let's see. People are chiming in with stuff we're talking about, so let's go to that. Noah Cloud says we need a camp to help us focus, maybe even concentrate. I would definitely go to that camp.
You know, it's unfortunate because people used to do that, you know, hundreds of years ago. It's common to do that by yourself. You know, it would be like self-reflection or meditation or, you know, whatever it is. Like you would do that a long time ago. But now what do? I don't know. Let's go ask AI. Or let's go ask this archetype. Let's go ask, you know, whoever it is, your priest or your science expert or your Senate representative. What do they think? But all this self-reflection and self-thinking, or these ideas of wisdom, that's all gone.
Don't forget the most popular, what do you call it? Celebrities.
Oh yeah,
celebrities are
those are
definitely,
icons. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
See,
man.
that's a whole
Well,
nother thing. I talked
Taylor
about that
Swift
before.
said it, and it's gotta
Yeah.
be true.
You got to remember, it's like a GUI on your desktop. An icon is not the program. An icon is the thing that directs you to the program, and it sucks
Yep.
you in. It says click here, but that icon is not the program. It's just telling you click here, and it will get you into the program. But we believe the icon is the substance.
Yeah.
It's not the substance. It's just a mechanism to get you sucked into the program.
All right. Let's see what's happening here. Uh-oh. He's going crazy here. All right, here we go. Um, Traveler says Superman has value because he represents an IP that generates huge amounts of cash.
Yeah.
And Traveler 5 he's kind of a little bit spicy today, a little salty.
Well, that's true, but then you have to ask yourself, who created that for the intentionality of generating capital? And then you have to ask, why did they choose that kind of archetype that represents these ideas, this worldview? Why did they create that? Because they want you to believe that's normality.
Yeah. Noah says, anything new and exciting this week? I'm building a shower house today. Interesting. I'm kind of
Man,
wondering
I
what a
haven't been in a
house
shower
is.
house since I was in Korea.
I guess we'll have to get a description of exactly what a shower house is. The only thing, I mean, down the Jersey Shore that we go to, a lot of places have an outdoor shower that's enclosed in a little like a phone booth type thing. And you can go in there and rinse off the salt and the sand when you come from the beach. And then you go into the house. I don't know if that's similar, but
That's what I think of it. I mean, in Korea, we also have things called bathhouses.
yeah.
That's a common thing, but
Yeah,
but
that's kind of a very different thing here in the States, though.
yeah, I know they have a very
Yeah,
individualistic idea of a bathhouse, but
yeah, yeah. All right, so that was Frederick says Jordan Peterson is a political prostitute. Wow, that's certainly
I
an
wouldn't
assertion.
disagree. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, I have found some of the things he said rather fascinating, but yeah, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Well, like I told the
Um,
elder before, it's like wisdom is transcendent.
mm,
It doesn't matter who's the puppet that speaks wisdom. Wisdom itself, it's like Platonic. It's an abstraction. Wisdom itself is something that if you apply it, it will make a manifestation in your life. It doesn't matter where you find it. If you find it on the side of the road because you find this little nugget of truth on the ground, you're not going to ask who create this. If you do, you're going to be on a journey that is fruitless. It doesn't matter who created it. It's the mattering of, did you apply this function and reap the benefits?
yeah, in the words of Simon and Garfunkel, the words of the prophet were written on the subway wall.
Sure. And if you're looking for the profit, you're going to be chasing a ghost your whole life instead of reaping the rewards.
Let's see what we got. Jordan Peterson. All right, Slime Feeder. All right, Slime Feeder's joining us and says AI is reflecting the subconscious of mankind. I guess considering it's a an aggregate of human experience, I guess that's kind of true.
I would say it's a
Uh,
proprietary function of a hedonistic mankind. It's what
mm,
you want. It's your utopia that it's manifesting. I don't
yeah.
think it's a collectiveness of everything in mankind because it's not going to assert its evils, but it's going to assert its utopias.
Maverick says that AI is created to make human life easier, takes away creative, takes away jobs, makes weird promo images.
But
So,
that's contingent on your prompt.
yeah, yeah. What's the old saying? Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, what you want, you get.
Iron, Iron Man Bill says the small hats. Oh, jeez, the small hats invented Superman because they're such weak, slimy, weaselly little people. Well, actually, Superman is based on the Ubermensch. Isn't that Nietzsche talked about the Ubermensch? So rather ironic that that the guys that created Superman, who I think they were Jewish, um, created an American concept of that.
Well, the
Kind
reason
of
why
interesting.
Nietzsche believed that is because he believed that the corruption of religion, this is why he says, God is dead. The idea is not so much that God himself is dead, but the idea that your belief in God is the thing that causes your dependency, which will cause you to not maximize human individuality and human potential. So you crutch on God instead of maximizing your individual potential. So you need to be a Superman. That's the idea of Nietzsche, is if you yourself can't maximize your ability to be the Superman, but then, and the reason why is because of the two oppositions, the rich class and the poor class for Nietzsche. And so if you become the Superman, because Superman's not a collective of the government. He's an isolated individual fighting against nobles and those who are supposedly corrupting the individual ability of freedom. And so for him, it's like you need to tap into that and then assert for the community instead of believing in for him, it's organized religion, which is deceiving the masses and believing that this is going to be an answer, which is suppressing the individual potential. I believe some of that is true, but I believe as an archetype that's false. Because if we all were Superman, what's the value of Superman?
Yeah. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Well, if we're all free, then we're all kings.
Yeah. Let's see. Invented Superman. Okay. Oh, Iron Man says, I just take a shower under a hose. Like the old days. Back in Port Richmond. Go out and get under a hose. That's right.
Yeah.
If it was hot out, you wouldn't go to the pool. You turn the garden hose on.
Yeah, but you got to give about 10 seconds because, man, that first layer of hose water is hot.
Yeah. Yep. I remember once or twice getting the brunt of that.
Drinking out of the hose, I mean, man.
You better wait.
Yeah.
You can make a nice hot cup of tea with it,
I've
though.
done that a couple times. I was like, wow.
All right, let's see. Oh, Travelify B. All right, let's see what he has to say. He or she, them. I got to get used to saying them, they, Pronouns are important. That's why the archetype that is built on the foundation of AI is so dangerous. The AI archetype is driving the current AI financial bubble and social trends. Iron Man says, go ahead.
No, I'm thinking. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Iron Man says, if it was any hotter out there, it would be host. Oh, there's a little compliment from Iron Man. And it's mighty hot out there, so.
Yeah. Well, it was this past week. Man, it was intensely hot this past week out here in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, we had the past couple days have been spiking it here in good old Philadelphia area. Iron Man said showing 6, but honestly, it looks like we're up to 10. We were at 11 and one just dropped out, but it looks like we're up to 10. Slime Feeder says before AI was intel from artificial, superficial understandings of reality.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, Cloud says Superman is a Jesus.
Yeah, I would say it's a type of that.
I mean, it's a Messiah figure.
Every archetype is a function of myth, and myth is an amplification of truth. Like, there's a such thing as a hero, and then that hero becomes, think about it in a very primitive sense. So somebody's out there, and they're a super hunter, and they hunt more efficient than anybody, but they're going to be praised. And then once, that person dies, these stories continue on. But as the telephone game continues, these stories turn very hyperbolicized. And it turns out to this is the provider of our civilization. Without them, we would all be dead. And then that gets amplified, and it turns into this myth. Myths are truths, but it's interesting. It's almost like the embodiment of truth. Because it is true. Without that hunter and what that hunter probably taught the civilization, that civilization probably would have got wiped out. But were they a god? No. But to that civilization, it was very foundational to their existence. So I do believe myth plays an importance in our understanding of what we call the epitome of something. It's our worldview, but I don't think, all our beliefs in, I guess what they would call faiths, are the epitome of myths. But I do believe that we all want to. I can't deny the idea of tribalization in some of it too, because everybody's saying mine is the right one, mine's the best. Very ancient idea. Mine's the right God, mine's the superior deity. Look at all the rain we get. Look at all our fruitful crops, and who they attribute that to. And this is why certain gods get more praise and worship. But those are because of these attributations to circumstance.
Yeah.
You can't attribute that to a human. No human is out here creating rain. And so when they do that, this myth turns to something very spiritualized. But something like Superman, that's an epitome of a human. I think that's important too, is distinguish the idea of a collective myth comparative to an individual myth.
Let's see. So Iron Man says Claude is lazy as shit. I keep having to tell it to dig deeper for info. It acts really dumb. Is it modeled after Frederick? Ooh, ouch.
I don't know if Claude is the most efficient for generalized intelligence as much as proprietized. It's probably the most efficient when you're dealing with code. But if you're talking about generalized information, it's probably not the most efficient. It's not really built for that. But then again, all these models are what's called recursive. So I don't know if any of them is actually going to be the best for generalized, but there are other models that are better probably than Claude for generalized information.
Bean Burrito says, can we have a moment of silence to appreciate air conditioning?
Yeah, I'm glad I live in America, not UK.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Iron Man says, no moment of silence, just thank a white person.
Yeah, I got AI. I got air conditioning going on right now.
I think maybe I can fix that by saying, just thank a human. Thank a human being who was, bright enough to come up with the concept.
Oh, that's a complicated concept too.
Yeah. And then Iron Man says, colleague so still, he'd make a great hunting partner. That is true. And that might be what he's practicing. He said something about wanting to go hunting.
Well, he's looking into your soul.
Well, he's always doing that.
I know, but I mean, right now,
and silently judging.
Maybe. But whatever he's doing, he's really efficient at it. Like, this is the highest level.
Yeah, I thought I heard him mention something before about going snipe hunting. So I don't know. Maybe he's practicing to go hunting snipe. I don't know.
Like, he's going to turn into a myth. I mean, this is the highest level of efficiency.
Yeah. All right. Iron Man says Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania had the first indoor air conditioners. It was blocks of ice in the basement of mansions blowing cold air through the ductwork. It's the Switzerland of America. Yeah. I've been to Jim Thorpe a few times. It's
that's probably the simplest way is, ice and then fan.
Yeah. I mean, then you have some nice cold water to drink.
Yeah, but see, that's just like a, what do they call those, evaporators or not evaporators. What's the word for that? Swamp coolers. Like you're using the moisture to cool down the air. So like swamp coolers, but air conditioning is actually sucking out the hot air out of the room, while swamp coolers is using moisture to cool the air. Some places like Arizona, where it's very low in humidity, it's a lot more efficient to have a swamp cooler. Because places where it's more humid, you want to suck the moisture out. That way it can become less humid and absorb the cool air that it's pushing out. But if you have no humidity, it's more efficient to distribute moisture. And that moisture is almost like sweat, and you're going to have a cooling effect. So places like Arizona, swamp cooler is probably more efficient.
Bill says the railroads kind of started there out in Jim Thorpe, and many millionaires built mansions you can go tour today. Yeah, it's also still a pretty famous place to go if you're a train enthusiast. Just kind of cool. Bean Burrito says, "Don't forget to like the stream." Thank you for
that's a good opportunity to push this button, like that like button. And if you haven't yet, you can go ahead and subscribe as well.
That's right. Subscribe. Become a member.
Mm-hmm.
And just remember. Let's see. Traveler 5E says Claude is modeled on Ask Jeeves. I remember Ask Jeeves. Talking about a blast from the past. That's when I was using, I think, AOL. Dial up. Oh, man. Iron Man sent a gold coin. I don't know the significance of the gold coin. Gold is what? Something like $4,000 an ounce.
Wow.
So, yeah, I guess that's pretty good.
Add that to colleague's yacht fund.
Yeah. Yes. Throw that gold coin in. Noah says, "Hey, Claude, can you imagine dragons?" That's a nice pun. Nice pun, Noah. I like it. Iron Man, member for 4 months, says, "Yo soy numero uno." I don't speak Spanish, so. See, Noah says, "Bill's throwing dollar coins on the floor to feed the chosen."
That reminds me of I didn't show it last week. I was going to show it, but there's this Jewish rabbi, and I guess maybe I can pull it up, but he was on some kind of podcast, and they were saying, didn't you say that the Goyim, which is anybody who's not Jewish, the Gentiles, you should not pay them any payments in gold?
Right.
And he denied it. He said, "Oh, I never said that." And then they played the video where he said that. But I don't know.
You did. You mentioned that. Yeah.
Is there any significance in gold? Like, I of course you could think about it like in the idea of financial and currency and holding a value and such. But I don't know. When you make it religious like that, it makes me think there's some kind of deeper connotation. But I don't know. The only reason I even said that is I don't know if that's what Iron Man was implying. Some kind of religious connotation to the Jewish idea of gold.
Yeah, I don't know. Iron Man then says "Fook flock," and then he sent a clutch, whatever that is. He sent a clutch, and then he says it's shekels. And then Noah says, "Feed them pennies."
They don't exist anymore, so yeah, go ahead.
But they don't exist, so they're going to be rare. Pennies might wind up being rarer than gold. Then Iron Man sent us a GG's.
Good game.
I don't know, something. The chats are weird today, man. I don't know. I think it's colleague stillness over there is freaking people out. Bean Burrito says, "Thanks, humans." See, that's the way we need to look at things. All this inclusiveness and, this, that, and the other thing. We are of one race, and that's humans. Period. Stop. Got to start thinking that way, folks. We're all human beings. We just come in different sizes, varieties, colors, shapes, but we're all humans.
It gets tough because what are you thinking for? You're probably thinking humans for convenience. Are you actually thinking humans because they're simply humans? We have this embedded idea that humans are a commerce factory. If you provide, the idea is, what do you contribute? And this is how you assess of humans' value. I think that itself is what skews this idea. Like, when you say think humans, what are you thinking them for? You're thinking them for a convenience that makes your life better, but that's a product value. That's a commercialized assessment. Like, thank you for making my air conditioner. Thank you for making my car. Thank you for making my candy bar. But there's no thank you for being a human. Thank you for being a part of my reality. We don't have value for humans anymore. We just assess the appreciation of their contribution to my convenience.
I'm past shekels and the G's and the humans. Oh, No Cloud says cross the stream. Never cross the streams. Unless you want to destroy a godlike entity made of marshmallow, then you do cross the streams. Maverick says, off topic, Russian collapse results in Putin launching a nuclear weapon towards Ukraine, or the Russian insiders turning against him.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I guess I've always thought it was strange that Russia's being so light on their military force. It's like you might not have a lot of high level technology, but there's a difference in quality and quantity. They got a lot of quantity. Even if it malfunctions and it's old technology, I've always wondered why you just didn't fly a whole bunch of airplanes over to the capital of Ukraine and just start bombing them to smithereens. Like, some of them will work, some of them won't, but just drop it. That would have ended a war a long time ago. But of course, there's political reasons. But I mean, if you really want to play this game, just use your quantity. It may not be quality, but man, you got a lot of quantity.
Yeah.
I mean, start just dropping tanks from the sky. They're already not useful. Just start dropping tanks from the sky.
Yeah, that'll cause a bit of a concern.
And just load it up with a bunch of bombs inside, and just drop tanks. I mean, they're getting destroyed anyway. They're old. They're not useful. Just drop tanks.
Remind me never to play a military strategy game with you, host. Wow.
If you got quantity, it's just use the thing.
Yeah. Iron Man says, if they are the chosen, what's that make you? I could be the chosen too.
Well, it depends on what you qualify a chosen individual. And this is the idea of value theory. Is chosenness because, what are you metricing chosen? Is chosen a abstraction that's external of the mind? Well, then it's very special because it's not mind dependent. That's like something supernatural, something outside of circumstance. But if it's mind dependent, then your chosenness is probably on the assessment of their contribution.
I was thinking of the old Dr. Pepper commercial. Wouldn't you like to be a chosen too?
Yeah, buy more product.
Yeah, that's right. Buy enough product, and it's like the old indulgences back in the day. Buy your way into heaven.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's Tommy Boy.
Welcome.
He says,
welcome.
You're thinking of Matan Evan.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is, but it was some podcast. Are you talking about the Jewish guy? It might have. That name sounds familiar. That's why I asserted that you're probably assimilating that with the Jewish guy.
Interesting. Iron Man says some humans are better than others, like Germans. Well, maybe in their minds. Anyway.
Yeah, that's tribalistically centralized. It's like, of course, we think our people are better.
Our tribe's the best.
Yeah.
Let's see. Bean Burrito says, I contribute by working at a gas station. Well, thank you, Bean Burrito. We do appreciate you doing that because, we got to keep the engines running and the commerce flowing, and gas is
Man,
very important.
I gotta get my slushy somewhere.
And that, yeah, and sushi, man, gas station sushi, the best.
Gas station burritos.
And those hot dogs have been sitting on the rollers for 3 days.
Oh yeah, and those tuna fish sandwiches that's been there since last week.
And there's always one banana. There's always one banana.
And there's like one
there.
slice of pizza that's still rotating. Yeah.
Oh. Frederick says, blow off some steam. Steam. Yeah, not stream, steam. I don't know. And he says, I work at a food cart and contribute to the economy. Well, cool. I wonder what kind of food cart it is. I'm a sucker for those hot dogs that you get on the street corner. If I go down into Philly, into the city, man, I stop at one of those little carts. Best hot dogs. Must be nostalgic when I was a kid. Iron Man says, is 70 IQ across a country considered human? Sounds like subhumans. Well, wait a second. Who's to say what the base is? I mean, if the average human IQ is 70, then they're complete average humans. And anybody who's like up in the hundreds, or they're really, really smart. So I don't know. I guess it really depends on what we're talking about as an average.
Well, that's a really touchy subject because you're talking about the G quotient, and it's a very efficient. It's one of the most efficient. Correlation isn't causation, but it has one of the highest R quotient correlations to success. But that's only because of its ability to have higher levels of processing and dealing with spatial abstraction and reasoning. But that doesn't work everywhere. Like high IQ people will have a hard time dealing with social interactions and networking and collective situations. But man, they will maximize when it comes to productivity. Yeah. And if you live in a capitalistic society, well, maximizing the efficiency of productivity is going to equivalent into high levels of success. But success is not necessarily intelligence. It's just maximizing the thing that your society is utilizing as the tool to get more benefit. But if you want to talk about how to become a better friend, how to become a more caring individual, they might not have that ability. So, and higher intelligent people may know that, so then they delegate. A good CEO says, I might not have very good social skills, so I'm going to delegate the PR department and other departments where I'm very lacking to somebody who has that ability, who are more extroverted, who have the networking ability to be that attractive, like attention traffic person, because I have very low abilities in that sector. So I would say, yeah, like a good example would be on the metric is the United States military does not let anybody come into the military with a lower IQ than 84, because they did this study a long time ago to realize that anybody with a lower IQ than 84 becomes a threat to basically friendly fire. They don't possess the ability to allocate high-level pressured structure orders in a way that could generate abstractive decisions without possibly having a higher possibility of hurting their own.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean those individuals can't be useful in collective situations. But abstractive situations, like hypotheticals or possibilities, they will probably be less efficient. But they might be efficient in other areas. But yeah, as you go down on the spectrum, yeah, eventually you do get into a point where it is just mental handicaps, and that is different too. But those people still, they have something that they can excel at. I mean, there's a point where you excel at nothing, and I'm not going to say that. It's just a very touchy situation for me because I think you don't have control over that.
And you also can't judge a person. You can't judge the character of a person by their IQ.
No,
You know,
you can't. And,
you can't.
again, it's touchy because it's, it's like Heidegger said, the Dasein. You're thrown in this world. You don't get to choose what country you were born in. You don't get to choose who your parents were. Also, you don't get to choose what kind of brain you were given. You don't get to choose if you have a cleft lip or some abnormality. You don't get to choose how you enter in this world. And so you can't assess some things simply by uncontrollable circumstance. That's just, that's where charity comes in. Charity comes in because you understand there are uncontrollable circumstances, and for those who have been gifted with things that are abnormal in a higher level, they need to be charitable because they're uncontrollable. This is why when there's a flood or a national emergency, we want to become charitable because it was uncontrollable circumstance, not their fault. So we want to be charitable. To assert the value on uncontrollable circumstances is a very unhealthy mindset.
Tommy says, why would you thank a human when you could thank the inventor of the actual thing? Why don't you go thank a kindergartner for electricity? The purpose of my comment was because Bill said, go thank a white person for the invention of air conditioning. And I said, why not just thank a human for the invention of air conditioning instead of a specific race? That's all. I was being generalized,
I think your mentality is a little skewed here, Mr. Tom. Every inventor was a kindergartner once, and every kindergartner is only going to excel as much as their access and resources of their community. If you are a kindergartner in Somalia, your accesses and resources are going to be very different than one that's living in Manhattan. And so every great inventor once was a kindergartner, but they didn't have a chance to excel to the point of becoming an inventor, or they did. And some of that, I'm not going to say all of it is asserted on just basically circumstance. Of course, there has to be desire, but a lot of it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the point I was trying to make. Yes, I mean, you could thank the specific person if you invented something and you know them. I get that,
But you need to thank your community because your community is what birthed that kindergartner into an inventor. It wasn't a kindergartner by themselves. Without an accessible community that could give that kindergartner access to become the inventor, they would have never invented it. It's not the kindergartner by themselves. It's the kindergartner plus the community.
Yeah. It's just, in my mind, it's breaking down those racial lines, though, that we're just so used to having, and some people more than others, But breaking those walls down to think of us as human beings, and just we're different, but we're all still humans, and that's all I was trying to do. But let's see. Frederick says, I pay my uni fees by working at a food cart. I don't know what a union is. Did you mean union
Maybe
fees?
Union fees.
Union fees. That would, That's
I didn't know food carts were unionized. I thought those were like sole proprietors.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to. You don't want to be a scab at one of those. Let's see. Iron Man says, my great grandmother came to America from Ukraine in 1914. Wow. Frederick says, bill collectors are home blowing. What? You guys either get spell checker or do something so I can read these things, because either you're misspelling things or you're spelling words that I have no concept of what they're supposed to be. Blog. I don't know. Noah says, praise be the Roman Empire for civilizing the heathens. Well, I will thank the Roman Empire for aqueducts and roads, but and maybe pizza. I don't know. Iron Man says, bomb Ukraine to the Stone Age. Okay. Wow. Once he's saying his grandmother came to America from Ukraine in 1914. Now he's saying bomb it to the Stone Age. It's kind of a mixed message I'm getting there. I don't know. You have to let us know.
Bomb everybody.
Yeah. Noah Cloud says, host does Zergling rush before 20. Again, it's
I don't
like
know if
I
that's
feel
a
like I'm
compliment or
reading.
not.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
What is a Zergling rush
I don't
before
know.
20? Usually I'm on board with you, Noah, but
I
you
appreciate that.
you lost me there. Yeah. Host does Zergling rush before 20. Rock on, dude.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, I'm over 20, so it must have already happened.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Iron Man says RPM. Grape with the R, pillage and murder.
I thought you were talking about like rate per minute.
Oh, rape per minute.
Not rape, but rate.
Oh, well, yeah, I was trying not to say the R word, but I don't know if I don't even know how that all that works anymore. If you can say certain things and not, and whatever.
I don't live by
It
that
makes me
anymore now.
crazy.
The
Yeah, it
next
makes me
global
nuts.
shutdown, I might have to again start playing goat noises and stuff. But for now,
Yeah.
it's whatever.
Yeah. Traveler's back, and he's saying, what latent telos is served by this discursive thread's seemingly disillusionary preambulation, whose prolix digressions appears to dissipate into epistemic vacuity, yielding no discernible culmination.
Well, you think what I'm talking about is what you think I'm saying is sophistry?
Shut up, Traveler.
I'm just saying. I know what I know. Well, I don't know if he knows, but I know what the assertion is. You think it's sophistry?
I am willing to bet he knows what he's saying, and you know what he's saying. But I have a feeling he's mocking me.
Well, I don't know if he really understands what he's implying. You think what I'm saying is sophistry?
Well, there you go. Do you think what he's saying is sophistry? Sophistry. He's just picking on my Port Richmond niche. That's all. I can't help it. Noah Cloud says 42.
It says what?
42.
Oh.
I can't argue with that. That is the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. 42.
Yeah, my number is 108.
Okay.
It's an ancient number. You guys should look it up. A lot of people's.
I will.
A lot of people reserve 108 as a very special number.
I'm partial to 42. I read the books. I know what it means. Of course, the question, that's what it was. They got the answer, but they didn't know what the question was. So then they had to seek the question. And of course, the question is, what do you get when you multiply 9 by 6?
54.
42.
9 by 6?
Yeah. What do you get when you multiply 9 by 6? 42. Now, we know that it's 56, but the
54.
ultimate computer says it's 42, which means there's something fundamentally wrong with the universe. Because when we multiply it, we get 54, when in fact it's supposed to be 42. If you can figure out why, then you got it licked. Thank you.
108 is a geometrical power of the 9 function.
I just want to thank Douglas Adams. A little shout out to Douglas Adams for that. I thought it was kind of a brilliant concept to explain the absurdity of existence.
I got you.
Yeah. Iron Man says
Goldham's paradox.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Iron Man says, my other great grandparents, mom's side, came from Germany and Sweden, straight Vikings. I had a 7'2" cousin who worked in a bakery, and they had to dig a trench so he could walk around in it.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, don't lower the cook. Raise the bridge. Lower the water. He could have raised the ceiling.
Just dig the earth deeper instead of looking for higher ground.
There you go. Wow. Let's see. Noah says, "That's the question we're getting around to asking." I'm assuming he means, what's the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? Okay, here we go with Iron Man. He said they gave Africa the wheel and they still carry crap around on their head. Well, that's what happens when you're so poor you can't afford a wheel. You invent a way to be able to carry more than just stuff in your arms. They can carry amazing weights and quantity by placing those things on their heads, and they can walk a long distance. So to me, I think it shows your ingenuity and um, coming through when you don't have the resources that people in America do, where we all own freaking cars and you know. Anyway,
Well, I would say, just go back to ancient civilization, the Mesopotamian, what they call A and E, ancient Near Eastern timelines. They were all in Africa, and they were the beginning of all primary civilization. Look at Eridu. But
mm,
what happens is they were highly efficient, creating all kinds of technology. I mean, hydraulics was created by the Islamic mathematicians. But you start creating the function of mass power through domination, then what happens is that it isolates the accessibility for efficiency. Once you start suppressing the idea of open source access, people focus more on war and preservation than they do on technology. And when you get desperate enough, you're not thinking about how to create efficiency. You're creating on the idea of defense mechanisms. And defense mechanisms don't advance your society because you're scared. And fear is never going to be the byproduct of technology. You have to have liberation. That's what made Rome so great. Rome became great because they were liberated. They weren't in fear. The reason why Egypt was so great is because they were in liberty. They weren't in fear. Once you are living in fear, all you're doing are creating walls, creating weapons for protection. You're not thinking about expansion and efficiency. So when you suppress and you restrict accessibility because of domination, that will always restrict the ability to create efficiency.
um, Bill says, "Thanks, Romans. Do you guys consider Italians to be white? Not me. Well, they're Europeans, so yeah. I understand the Sicilians could be, a little darker than regular Italians, but honestly, they're all Europeans, so it works for me."
Whatever.
Just saying. Um, Frederick says, "Baby shark, do do do." What I think he means is, "Baby shark, do 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 do, baby shark, do 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 do
Left
do."
foot in, I whip my right foot in, and I shake it all about.
Go about, you do the hokey pokey.
Turn yourself
Um,
around.
this is the musical version of the Matrix Network. Thank you very much. Um, tip your waiters and waitresses. Iron Man Metal says, Iron Man Metal Bill, "My ex was a bill collector. Get it? Crickets? Is this thing on?"
Bill. Oh yeah, Bill, like Iron Man Bill.
Bill collector. Yeah. Nice. Frederick says, "TS, tough blood."
TS.
Yeah, it's all code. These people are all talking in code, and I'm not getting it. And it's not just because I'm old.
Well,
Bill says,
I have
Eastern.
too many
Oh,
acronyms in my head, and a lot
oh
of
yeah.
code functions are just a couple letters too. So I'm not very good at that when it's dealing with like these modern day,
Yeah.
like texting, 3-letter imposits of conversation. I know there's a lot of that stuff like LOL and stuff.
Yeah, BRB.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
very
these
good at
kids
that.
today with their abbreviations.
That's cool. I mean, I'm all about
Their
that.
acronyms.
I'm not sure which one is which anymore.
Jeez. Okay, so Bill says Eastern Europe is trash. Noah says, laugh my butt off, Bill. See, I know what LMAO means. Frederick says Tartars were Muslims. I don't know about that. Bill says, I judge the crap out of everyone. And then he says taters are potatoes. And then you put tartar sauce on the potatoes. I don't know.
I like tartar sauce,
Yeah.
but I don't put it on my potatoes.
Nah, you put it on fish sandwiches.
Yeah.
Bill says Epstein thanked a kindergarten.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's this Epstein guy? I have no idea who you're talking about.
I know JD Vance went on a big spew about it on the Rogan show this week.
Yeah, I guess we might be hearing something tonight, huh? As
Well,
you were
we're going to
saying
be hearing
earlier,
something from Trump, that's for sure.
Yeah. Traveler says the temporal disjunction between stream and commentary is intolerable. I'm trying the best I can, dude. It's not like the old days. You know, the old days. Anyway. And then Frederick says, STFU nerd. Stuffu nerd. Frederick, you're speaking in a code that I cannot translate. Anyway, he says Epstein was a Jew. Well, wow. With a name like Epstein, I thought maybe he was,
Oh, that's what JD Vance was implying on the Rogan show, is that he has he believes that Epstein was definitely part of the Mossad, but he can't prove it, but he believes that.
And then Bill says, LOLLLO, Noah, that's all I got. Terrible, I know. And Bill says the Romans didn't screw with the Vikings. And then Frederick says the Vikings were reptilian demons later.
Wow.
Yeah. Bean Burrito says, host, what is your fact of the day?
That quantum chromodynamics is the reason why you believe color is real.
Oh, that's heavy, man. That's heavy. Bill says, probably, Fred. Jesus rules all of them. And then Noah says, laughing my butt off, chat going wild today. Yeah, it's sort of like that when they go down on that spring break, Girls Gone Wild. This is chat gone wild. All right, Traveler, he's back. Ah, yes, the sophistication, barely perceptible yet heroically implied. Seriously, Traveler, did you read like a vocabulary word per day or something recently? Did you just complete it? Because you're throwing words out there, dude. But I don't know if you're really saying anything.
That's actually what he's doing. He's creating a anyways.
Yeah, I'm just throwing the challenge out there. Anyway,
it's a
Noah
tautology.
says 108. Noah says 108 was the special ed room. Special ed. 108 was the special ed room in my high school. Maybe those folks knew something.
That's me.
There it is. Yeah. And Bean Burrito says Elder looks 42. God bless you, Bean Burrito. Thank you. I'm about to have my 67th birthday next week. So,
so you're kind of like a colleague. You know, you're pushing 42, and you got a 42-year-old son.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Dang close. Frederick says, my friend just got slimed today.
That sounds like Nickelodeon.
What? Yeah, either he was on a Nickelodeon show or he was messing with ghosts somewhere, thinking he was a Ghostbuster. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, they got that ghost DNA out there.
Yeah, I ain't afraid of no ghost.
I'm gonna spray ghost DNA all over you.
Hey, now. You get charged extra for that.
Yeah.
Noah says, "Are you using Grok, Traveler?" And he says, "Feels a little more GPT." Um, and Traveler says, "No, not sophistry, but merely vacuous perforation."
Yeah,
Peroration.
that's the epitome of tautology. You're saying something, but it has no meaning. It's actually
Uh,
what Traveler's doing. He's saying a bunch of words that have no meaning.
I see. Yeah, he's skewered on his own
No,
petard.
I was saying it's
No, he's
tautological.
hoisted on his own
He's
petard.
actually saying a bunch of words that have no meaning while he's saying that I'm saying that has no meaning. It's tautological. It's the same thing, just saying it a different way.
Iron Man just contributed $2 to the yacht fund and asked,
Yes.
"Is colleague coming in today? Did he melt?"
No, he's still on his
Maybe.
vacation over in Damascus.
I, I thought he was just his processor got frozen with the heat, and he was just kind of in a stuck mode over there.
No, he sent this so he could participate, but he's still over in Damascus getting his grain, his yearly grain attributation.
Okay.
Like
Wow.
if he doesn't
Okay.
get that 150 pounds of grain, he won't be able to keep his 47-year-old child.
I understand that. They eat too. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Well, it's like North Korea. North Korea has a 100-pound monthly fecal quota. If you don't collect your 100 pounds of fecal, you're going to get compromised.
I always said North Korea was full of shit.
Well, that's one way to put it.
Yeah. Let's see. Iron Man says, "Need the toilet flush sound."
Yeah, I'm gonna need to bring that back. I can just push a button just
Yeah.
so it can happen.
That was cool. But then you have to add a cricket to it, so when it gets quiet, you just play crickets. Bean burrito. This is my favorite. He says, "I'm a peeing."
Says what?
I'm a peeing.
I'm a peeing.
Yeah, as opposed to European.
Yeah.
Yeah, European. I'm a peeing. We're all peeing. Or you could say, "You're European." No, I'm a pooping. Yeah, I know. I just went back to grade school real quick there. It was a bit of a time jump. Noah says, "Wheels are good in some places. Carts are kind of a burden. Yeah, they're heavy and cumbersome without engineered roads. Engineering roads isn't needed if you can walk everywhere." That's very true. Yeah, because if you do have a cart, you're right, and the terrain isn't feasible for it. You know what I mean? Appropriate for it. It's a waste. Or if you don't have the oxen or whatever it might take, a donkey or something, to pull it. I mean, humans could pull it, but again, like you said, they're heavy and difficult to manage. So there you go. People rise to the occasion when they have a challenge and they find ways. And it's all kinds of people. They're humans. Humans can figure it out. Bill says Italy was RPM'd by Africa. They're halfies. Okay.
I don't understand.
Well, what he's saying is the Africans came into Italy and forcibly impregnated
But
the
then wouldn't there
population.
be a hyper or at least a integration of melanin distribution?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, if we last maybe another millennia or two, we're not going to have people of color. Like we're all going to be one color. We're all going to be like kind of, um, you know,
Well, just
yeah,
it's
like
possible if the birth rate continues at this rate, then yeah, assimilation is going to be a function for civilization. But if they can fix internalized birth rate issues, then no, people will naturally nationalize. But yeah, if they don't, then yeah, you're going to have to assimilate.
We're all going to look like Beyonce. That's not a bad thing.
I guess.
All right. Let's see. Noah says ancient Carthage was lit.
I guess it depends on what
Carthaginians.
timeline of
Oh,
Carthage.
I see. That sounds like a interesting subject.
But then that's a claim for every civilization.
Yeah. Noah says a little salty now. Bill says I cut half of my thumb off a few months ago, and I constantly confuse it with my pee. You're saying you circumcised your thumb? That's interesting.
Just yeah, that's fun fact of the day.
Yeah, Bill. I'm not going to say it. Noah says, "Did you sew it to your foot?" Six six toe Bill of the Six Toe Clan. Yes. Oh my goodness. Bill says green is the worst to wear outside. It attracts more heat than black. Look at plants. That's true. If a that is a good point. Plants survive by photosynthesis by absorbing sunlight. Chlorophyll is green though, and why wouldn't it be black? Because black absorbs the most light. Oh, interesting. Why isn't chloroform, whatever?
Well, there has to
The
be a
crap
balance. You can get to the point to
chlorophyll.
where it's just like anything. It's like a decay, like a virus is a good example. You have to have a maximized virus to expand its spread. It needs to have a balance between a decay rate of death with the ability of its timeline to spread. If a virus is too deadly and the death rate is too fast, then it might be highly deadly, but it won't ever spread because the host dies off before it can spread. So a highly deadly virus is not actually that fearful because it doesn't have the ability to spread to a maximized level. I would say color, well, in the spectrum of absorption and reflection, you have to maximize the ability of absorption comparative to the material structure of degradation. Like if if it's too hot, you could actually just destroy the plant itself. So it probably evolved to a point to where this is the maximized spectrum of absorption while it's minimizing the ability of degradation. Because if it was too much, it would actually just kill the plant.
Yeah, you're right. That's good point. I know I could count on your host. It's a good answer. Oh, Bill says I would have, but I didn't find the piece till the next day, and it was too late. Oh man, imagine finding that. Oh look, there's my thumb. Oh man. Um, Bill says, does anybody remember the rapper Special Ed? I got it made.
I didn't even know there was such a rapper.
No. Frederick says embassing. Embassing. And then he says Bundarama. Bundarama. Again, speaking a completely different language. I don't know. No, it says Elder is only a year older than my mom. LOL. Wow. So you gotta spill it then, Noah. How old are you? I'm curious. You feel comfortable putting it in there? Go ahead. If not, it's cool. Um, Bill says Blockbuster Video is not a joke name. I saw Ghostbusters when I was a kid, and the line wrapped around the block 3 times. Took hours to get in.
Yeah, those are long days.
Oh, a
Those are
Block
long.
Plus.
That
Yeah,
was a long time
Blockbuster.
ago.
Yeah, when the second Star Wars movie came out, Empire Strikes Back, me and my friends got up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and went down to Center City, Philly to one of the big theaters that was showing it, and there was a line already, and we get down there about 6 a.m. and we joined the line. We were towards the front, but it was still a bit of a line. And then, of course, the line started to grow behind. I think the first show was 10, maybe it was 10 a.m. or maybe 12. But it was fun. It was kind of fun doing it. Just kind of out there, the
I
excitement.
wonder if
kinda,
there's a association of that kind. See, that's actually the byproduct of scarcity. See, there's only so many videos that you can rent before it's out. That's why there's a line. You want to get there before it's all gone, just kind of like Black Friday used to be. But once
absolutely.
once things
Yep.
become digital, everybody has accessibility, so the idea of scarcity is gone. I wonder if there's an associative correlation between the reason why we assume movies are not as good is because we lack the sociological function of scarcity. And so we don't have this idea of its value because everybody has access. It's like if everybody could get gold, gold wouldn't be valuable. If everybody
Right.
had pounds, millions of pounds of gold. So I wonder if there's an association of media comparative to digital universal access and hard media scarcity.
Yeah, yeah. I would say the same. Well, yeah, I might actually say the same thing for music. We don't really see super groups anymore because so many people can just throw music out on the internet now. I mean,
Oh,
there's
because
still
of
people that
AI,
get popular.
AI can amplify a non-talented
Yeah,
person.
yeah. But we're not seeing like those super groups like we did. Rush and Rolling Stones and Yes and Led Zeppelin and all those big super groups. We don't really see those. I mean, we have now we have Taylor Swift.
Well, I mean, if
Anyway,
before the AI timelines of amplifying, or I would even see like high level. I don't know how familiar people are with music production, but everything are called VST or virtual instruments. These plugins, or you can have RTAs, but these plugins are used to what producers and music mastering people use to amplify your ability, like auto tunes or anything else, like vocal attenuation, like vibratos and whatever. Before those timelines, everything, when it was analog, you either were good, like you had raw talent, or you're not. They had very limited tools outside like reverb and compression and other things to artificially produced high level talent. But when it started becoming more digitalized and VSTs and plugins, and now with AI itself, anybody can be talented. Anybody can be a good singer. Anybody now can produce a good song with lyrics because somebody can just generate it. Before, you had to have a good talented songwriter. You had to have somebody who actually could sing. Maybe they weren't both the same person. Maybe a good singer wasn't a good songwriter, but you put them together and you had a good song. But there was raw talent, and that scarcity created a value because it was a scarcity. But now that everybody has accessibility, I think that's another reason why we lose value in creativity, because there's no scarcity. It's nothing special anymore.
right? Yeah. I got a fever, and the answer is more cowbell. Anyway, Noah says, we're like the philosophers of old. What do the words really mean? What does the mean? What
Well,
does
I think
word mean?
I think
What
words
does
meaning is a fundamental basis of a society's desire of its outcome. If you want a world to look like something, you make words mean something that project the direction of your desired outcome. Like, if you care a lot about money, then the meanings of your words associate to a direction that starts pushing people more toward money. Like,
Yeah.
if I say the word AI, and what comes to your mind, the first thing that comes to your mind is a building tool. That means that word's meaning is associated with your worldview. But now if I say the word AI and the first thing comes to your mind is corruption, that means your worldview is seeing not as a monetary function, but as a controlling function. So I think all words are associated with a society's desire of where it wants to be in the future.
Hmm.
That's why it's very interesting. Like when you transliterate, which means you take, it's not translation, it's transliterating.
Yeah.
You take one language and you try to reflect the meaning of this word in another language, not so much translate, but try to understand the meaning of this word in another language.
Yeah.
It's different because there's some language that they don't have pronouns and nouns. It's what they would call a gender neutral word. And those gender neutral words have a lot more value than the pronoun function of a word. And that's what I was saying. In some cultures, you can tell what their emphasis was because of what the assumption of the value of a word is. Like if I say the word God, that has like this assumptive value of a supreme function. But now in another culture, everybody might think that we are God. So now it's like a universal collective function, even though it's the same word. I think the meaning of a word is the ambition of a society. I don't think it's a collective function. Even a number. Like a number might mean to us in westernized world, it's just a identity function. Somewhere else, the number 7 or 9 has some kind of like very spiritual meaning. I think that's the ambition of its society. I don't think we can universalize words and meanings.
Bean Burrito says, I miss Blockbuster.
Well, I miss scarcity, so I'm with you on that. I don't know about if I want Blockbuster back, but I do miss the idea of scarcity.
Yeah, who knows? It might come back. You never know.
I don't think so.
If streaming prices itself out of, people's ability to afford it.
Remember what I told you before the recording? They say it's cheaper. The argument is always, it's cheaper.
Yeah, it's cheaper. Right. Bill says North Korea gets the best sleep. They don't have all those lights to disrupt your circadian rhythm. That's
that might be true.
Yeah. Did you experience that back in the old days, host?
I was in South Korea and I was on the outskirts of Kunsan, so it was a village.
Yeah.
We didn't have electricity. We had candle lights. But when you live in that culture, you maximize those things. So you learn, like they learned how to use a lot more reflective material to amplify lights. So It didn't seem like, it's very hard to correlate the two. But when I was a kid, it didn't seem like, I didn't know what electricity was at that point.
Right.
But it didn't seem like it was dark. It seemed very normal. But then again, we slept earlier because we had to get up and go to work. Like even the children would participate. So there wasn't a lot of emphasis on this. It needs to be comfortable as much as though it just needs to be a function of life. Sleep was more, this is just what we do, not so much of maximizing comfort.
Right.
It's just a different mentality.
Yeah. Noah says, Bill is our Plato, gonna wrestle and flex while debating. Oh, man, yeah. Frederick says, Kakanku. Again. Kakanku.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is.
Same to you. Kakangu to you too. Wow. Yeah. Bill says you can carry 10 times as much in a single wheelbarrow made with a wooden log as a wheel. Wait a minute. I just where'd it go? Oh, come on. Oh, I see what he's saying. Okay. You can carry 10 times as much in a single wheelbarrow made with a wooden log as a wheel than you could on your head. Yes, but remember, we're talking about the idea of terrain. if you have if you had a road, a dirt road, even if you can push that log wheel down it, that'll be fine. But the minute you start getting rocks, the minute it's, uneven or hilly, you're gonna start running into problems. So, um, yeah, I'm just saying I'm not
Well,
disagreeing with the physics of what you're talking about and the mechanics, but I'm just saying that there are situations where human ingenuity it kind of gives you the best you can get in the situation you're in. And obviously those people can carry more in their head than I could in my arms. So, yeah. All right.
it just goes back to the same argument: quality over quantity. Sometimes
Hmm.
quantity wins, sometimes quality wins. Eventually, quality does win, but your society has to maximize the ability for quantity to be a quality to maximize. If it doesn't, then you revert back to quantity. Like more people, like if I have 100 people, they can carry a lot more than one wheelbarrow. And if it's more efficient to
Uh,
have 100 people doing it because I'm climbing over a mountain, then that's going to be more efficient than trying to carry one wheelbarrow over a mountain.
boy, I really jumped ahead there. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Cool. I'm back on track. Bill says there absolutely is. Look at the Sicilians. They are dark. They get real tan where the northern Italy are fair skinned because they got hit with the Vikings. So northern Italy Vikings, southern Italy Africans.
But are they genetically innate with that kind of melanin, or is it just the accessibility to become tan?
Hmm.
And again, I don't
Uh,
care. I mean, it doesn't matter.
yeah, really. I don't care.
But I mean, I guess
Um,
it's interesting. I mean, a phenomenon. I mean, are they innately born with that kind of amounts of melanin?
hmm. I knew a guy from that was Sicilian. During the summer, he worked outside. And when during the summer, man, he would get pretty dark. So I don't know. And he didn't really get sunburn. He just got dark.
And when I
Uh,
tan, I get more like slightly red, and it
hmm,
becomes that's just the default color. I don't really. I guess it gets darker, but it's more reddish than it is like just overall melanin.
hmm.
But there are some Koreans that are darker. But I
Well,
wouldn't say because that's an assimilation of African migration. It's just universally that way. Like in very still primitive, archaic areas of South Korea, they still are just some darker people,
mm,
Koreans, and some lighter. And of course, South Korea tries to emphasize the beauty scale of very pale, but this is Eastern Asian beauty scales. It's very pale, very white, very like overly white,
mm.
like extremely ghostly white. But that goes back
Like
thousands of years. This is just part
Scottish
of their
white.
culture. But I would say I wouldn't say because it was because of African assimilation in East Asia.
Yeah, yeah. The Scots came down and you know
Well,
they
South Korea is
invaded.
very mountainous. The ones that were probably more in the mountainous areas were probably more lighter. The ones who are on the beach and the outer skirts and the coastal areas are probably more darker. The ones who were farming all day, probably after hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, they assimilated more of a darker melanin construction because of its ability of reflection and assimilation to heat, comparative to
Yeah.
those that weren't. I mean, it's just same function for any reason. You have more melanin than not.
Hmm. Traveler says the conversation on this channel is a leaf on the wind. When will it soar?
Well,
Wow.
you can contribute, Mr. Traveler. Are you a
That's
time
right. If you
traveler?
want to, I think he might be, or a mind traveler.
Yeah.
Um, Bill says, I'm younger than Elder. My mom is 89. Wow. Um, and then Noah says, no, Noah
Hey,
says,
how old are
what's my
you,
age?
Elder?
Yeah. What's my age again?
Hmm.
He says, 35, I think. So, Noah, you are the same age as my son. So, talk about weirdness, man. Yeah, I'm the same age as, or yeah, you're older than your mom, but you're the same age as my son. It's all relative, man. Age, you know, it's interesting. Um, let's see. Bean Burrito says, "Would you rather have the strength of a harvester ant or the sight of a bald eagle?"
Well, it just depends on my attribute. I would want the sight of an eagle if I could fly. I would want the strength of an ant if I was permanently on terrestrial land, if I couldn't fly. I don't think an eagle's use of that kind of strength of weight capacity is useful as much as its sight because it flies. So it probably depends on my function as a creature. An ant doesn't need that much sight, and a bird doesn't need that much strength.
Yeah, unless you're a swallow and you're carrying a
Now, if you
coconut.
gave me both, that'd be cool. I'd take both. I could fly, and I could be strong, and I could walk on land and carry things. I mean, that'd be cool. And I could have a shielding like ant shielding, like I got like this exo protection. Yeah, that's cool.
Host wants to be Animal Man.
I'd say, I understand why creatures have different functions. It's because of their nature. But if you could put them all into one, that'd be like a super creature. I guess that'd be the hyper predator.
No, we all know the alien xenomorph is the ultimate predator.
Well, that's why humans are the ultimate predator, because we can do it all. We can fly. We can put exoskeletons on. We can do everything. That's why we are the ultimate predator.
Yeah. Traveler says, too much absorbed energy turns into heat or reactive chemistry that can damage photosystems. So green, not black, is optimal for plants. Bill says Rush's Singer is a Freemason. Their album 2112 is an homage to 33. Ah, interesting. Geddy Lee. Yep. My wife's a very, very big Rush fan. She has seen them many times in concert.
Is that why 2012 was such a dominant year? Like, all the Mayans, all those like apocalyptic films like 2012 and
Yeah.
all that stuff is because it was associated with the number 33, 20 plus 12.
I don't know. Interesting. But of course, the Freemasons, that's an entirely different secret organization, right? I mean, it's those and the Shriners drive around in the little carts with the fezzes on.
Probably determines on which rite you're in. Are you the Scottish Rite? Are you like which lodge are you associated with?
Right. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Frederick says, I would like to disagree. Look, they put so much wokeness in movies and TV series that people became annoyed with these as they are against normalcy. So I think there's a couple factors here. I think people are put off by political and social messages in their entertainment. I also think that there's not a whole lot of new ideas coming out of Hollywood either. And even the reboots and the rehashes of old stories aren't near as good as the old ones. So, yeah, I mean, if you're not putting out a decent product, people aren't going to consume it. That's all there is to it. Nobody wants tofu fried chicken, or soy fried chicken. They want real fried chicken.
Yeah, it made me go back to the thinking of that same thing that I was saying earlier. Movies, it just seems like there was more thought into movies when it was hard media. Is it because there was scarcity and the cost of fighting for competition is what caused for the input of higher quality plots and higher quality acting? When it becomes digitalized, scarcity is irrelevant. Like money is money, but the idea of distribution and who's going to watch this movie, it becomes irrelevant if you can put out a movie every month. because it's digitally accessible. So it's like, oh, it didn't work. All right, let's put out another one. Let's put out another one. And once you get it to you start assimilating with AI, well, now you don't have to take months and years to make a movie. You can slowly integrate AI, which speeds up the production. And the faster production can happen, the more expendable a movie becomes. And that's when it, like anything, when scarcity is not a question, a part of the quotient, you get lower quality products. That's why mass production products are not as high quality as handmade products. So once it becomes mass produced, because things are, the speed at production distribution is higher because it can now be done by AI, you have to assume naturally quality is going to go down.
Noah says, we used to have a shared experience with TVs and movies. That is very true. Everyone watched the same few things for the most part, same as music. It was all live until records. Every family had a piano player. Not just that, but you're right. We were limited by what, 3 main network stations on TV and movies that came out in the theater, right? And you're right. The water cooler talk would be about the show that you watched last night, or maybe the movie you saw over the weekend. So yeah, you're right, and it was limited to the seating. So movie theaters would sell out. Oh, the show was sold out. I couldn't get in the movies; it was sold out. You don't really hear that happening nowadays. And
Now
the
think about
channel,
that.
TV,
Your community or your idea of collective value is associated with scarcity. Because everybody could only watch 3 shows, it forced everybody to talk about the 3 shows, because scarcity enforces community.
yeah, yep, it's a good example. Yeah, man, I remember when Lost was on. That was such a phenomenon. I mean, the radio programs in the morning would talk about the episode that was on the night before. It was so big. It was the mystery of Lost and where it was going. It was interesting. Then we were let down. I'm still salty about it. Frederick says it would have worked if everyone in society believed LGTV is normal and fine.
LGTV, you talking about like LG the company? Or HGTV, Home Garden Network?
Home Garden Network, or the lesbian gay TV? LG.
Is that a thing?
There's no BT to be. It's LGTV, not LGBT. That's confusing. Noah says we were all dreaming about Extreme Makeover Home Edition for a couple of years. Bill says in Latin, the male and female words were determined by what the object was. If it was a sword, it was male. If it was the sheath, it was female. If it was a tunnel, it was female. Huh. So it was a physical representation of it.
In ancient times, the masculine and feminine were, as simple as it gets, it's about submissive and dominant positions. That's literally how it is. And it wasn't sexual. It was literally the idea of a dominant and a submissive construct. So if you had a masculine function in the wording, it's because it was a dominant function in the meaning. So like a tool would be in the feminine, but the factory would be in a masculine. So it wasn't a gender per se because of biology. Right. They weren't that in tune with sciences like that. In their mind, the idea is masculine things would always be dominant and feminine things would always be submissive. And so for them, that's why for females, or even when they would talk about homosexual relationships, they would see it as in the receiver comparative to the giver. It's a very like you have to recalibrate your mind to a very primitive mindset. It's not so much sexual as much as the idea of dominancy and submission. And so when you see something as a distributor comparative to a a producer, like something that's producing something, very simple, very simplistic. We think very complex in our modern time. We what do we call that carp uh, comp carp compa compa compartmentalize. I can't say the word.
Compartmentalize.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
have a
say
hard
it.
time saying that too. Yeah.
But we make a lot of parts. But it also becomes a logical fallacy. It's a logical fallacy of composition. You know, like I say all the time, every car has a bunch of bolts, but every bolt is not a car. But when you
Right.
assume that bolts are a car or the necessity, or all bolts mean there's cars exist, that's a logical fallacy. Because there's bolts doesn't mean cars exist. But all cars have bolts. So don't assume when you see a bolt that means cars exist. That's a logical
Right.
fallacy.
That's logic. Right. Yeah. Um, cool. Let's see. Bean Burrito says, I haven't seen a movie trailer with as many dislikes as this new Odyssey movie.
Yeah, you know what's
Huh.
interesting about that? I heard a lot of these negative connotations because of the casting, but now that it's been released, a lot of the pre-reviews of the people who've watched it early said it's probably one of the most. And again, I don't know if this is just Christopher Nolan fanboys or not, but they're saying it's one of the most awesomely produced movies that they've ever seen. Just you can't think about the casting as much as the production and the plot and
Right.
the characterization. So I don't know. I don't know if our ideas of casting also is tribalistic and nationalistic. Like we have an idea of what we want to see because our culture imposes this is the stereotype. But if you look at it as a story or a narrative, it shouldn't really matter who's casted as much as the narrative. But I don't know if we can disassociate those two in our mind. Some reason we demonize because we're judging a book by its cover.
Yeah. Uh, Frederick says, exactly. Even directors like Nolan are corrupted. He says this is a planned demolition of Hollywood. Bean Burrito says Iron Man spitting facts. And then Bill says, "Hey, Elder, I live right by the Melrose for for over a decade, and I had to deal with all those grease balls." Guinea, I'm not going to say that last word. That's just too offensive. Oh my goodness, Bill, what are we going to do with you? What are we going to do with you? Um, although I do know where the Melrose Diner used to be. Used to. Um, Larry. Oh, Larry 4656
Is it a new guy?
says, I don't know if they're new. I don't recognize them, but Larry, if you're new, welcome. If you're not new, I apologize for not recognizing you, but welcome all the same. Um, and he or she, Larry, I'm assuming it's he, says, "Can colleague get a word in edgewise?" We've been all the entire show. We've been trying to prompt him to say something, and he's just frozen. He's in such a state. But we'll keep trying.
Well,
Right,
I'll
colleague?
say I've been receiving some words through osmosis, but it's telepathically osmosis. Like it's just coming in and it's just absorbing. I'm not physically touching him in the sense of osmosis, but it's telepathically osmosis. So I'm speaking some things that I'm sure that he's wanting to say, even though he's kind of frozen in the moment.
Okay. Um, let's see what we're going down here. Bill says, "Thanks, Bean." Bill says, "I'm eating pickled venison from a deer I blasted in November." It actually sounds pretty
Pickled
good.
venison, pickled deer.
Pickled venison, yeah, pickled deer.
Wow. I've never had that.
Have you ever had venison at all?
Yeah.
But not pickled?
No, no, I've never. I don't know if I've ever had pickled meat.
Hmm.
Oh, I've had those pickled, like, at the gas station, you get those, like, really sour pickled vinegar sausages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that before.
Well, all you do is throw a couple pickles on a hamburger and you're kinda getting pickled meat. I mean,
Yeah, I
sort of.
guess in some sense, like,
Yeah.
the association.
Bill says Ant-Man.
Yeah, there you go, Ant-Man. But see, Ant-Man can't fly, can
Ant-Man.
he?
No, he's gotta ride a flying ant.
Yeah. See, if I could be Ant-Man plus fly on my own, like Superman, that'd be, and then have the vision of an eagle, that'd be cool.
Hmm. Um, uh, and then Bill says, "There ain't no Eagle Man." No, there are the birds.
Yeah,
Go
there's
Eagles.
Birdman and Bird Boy.
Yeah, Birdman, that's right. Attorney at law.
Birdman
Birdman.
and Bird Boy.
Yeah. Uh, Noah says, "Native tribes stole woman to keep the genes fresh." Oh, okay, so he's saying that native tribes stole women to keep the genes fresh. Huh,
That
wow.
probably happens today too. I would think, like, and I don't really know. I guess maybe other people are more familiar. I would assume isolated communities, and this isn't a. I don't know. This isn't a shot to the Amish, but something like that, like the Hutterites or the Amish. Once their gene pool becomes oversaturated, they probably need fresh genes to come in so it doesn't get oversaturated with the same genes. So they probably try to convince women to come there and isolate them. But then again, you want to preserve some women because you're trying to keep the genes still fresh in that sense. But you can't get it too much because then you'll have too much inbreeding. So then you got to somehow get some fresh genes into the pool.
Bill says if Tom's mom was a bird, she'd be a swallow.
What about a
And then Bill's
magpie?
yeah.
Mm.
Again, I'm not commenting. If no, Bill says Kennedy was killed on 11/22, which equals 3/3.
Mm.
On the 33rd parallel.
Wow, look at that. Is that true?
I don't know.
That would be an interesting
Wow.
coincidence.
Yeah. We'll have to check that out. Bean Burrito just sent us $4.99. Appreciate that. He says, "Love the show. This is for Colleagues Yacht Fund and to help elders' chili plants grow larger." Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. We just pulled a pepper. We got one pepper off our pepper plants. Everything else is still struggling. But the cucumbers are coming in. I mean, the plants are growing like wildfire. I haven't seen any cucumbers yet, but I'll keep everybody posted. Well, as soon as we start getting some real,
You always put
produce
it in
coming
the
off there, I'll
Discord. You
show
can
you.
take some shots of your
Yeah,
garden.
yeah. There you go. We'll start a group called Elders Garden.
Yeah.
um. All right. Let's see. Noah says we're not bored enough to make up stories anymore. Oh, okay. There's too many stories to consume now. Interesting. Yeah, I guess that's that. Well, storytelling was a form of entertainment back before there was mass media. I mean, even regular film and TV, radio even was considered. I mean, that was a main form of personal entertainment, radio, before we had TVs, um, which was interesting. You used to sit and listen. I remember black and white TVs and the advent of color TVs. when they first appeared. I don't go back as far as radio, but I do remember when black and white TVs were replaced by color, which was
Think
pretty
about the
interesting.
reasons of a story. Stories are passed down because it's a mean of ambition. Like, you want to tell usually it's an elder telling the young people, listen to this story. And it's to give the future generation the ambition so that they will create a prosperous future because they're hearing about possibilities of great ambitions that are possible through this narrative. So then they say, I want to be like that. When you have again, this goes back to scarcity. When you have this idea that everybody's a winner, that everybody has gold, that everybody is successful, that everybody is something, the idea of a value of the story becomes so diminished that you can't appreciate the narrative behind it. You're looking at, does it make me feel something? Old stories weren't made to make you feel something. It was to give you hope. That's the whole reason they passed down these stories. Why did they give scary stories? Because they wanted to keep you away from threats. Scary stories were probably an ambition of like a predator that was killing people in the tribes. Like maybe there was a big anaconda or there's like this lion that would eat people. So they would hyperbolicize that story into like a scary story to keep the young people away from these areas so that they wouldn't die. The idea of stories were because it was a means of preserving and amplifying the communities. But that's because of scarcity. Once everybody is everything and everybody's a soldier, everybody's a winner, everybody's a hero, nobody cares about the ambition of hope. It's just like, I don't like that. Why? It didn't feel good. It's like, that's not the reason of a story.
Everybody gets a participation trophy.
Yeah, it's not just entertainment. Old time, it wasn't just entertainment. Entertainment was the quality of the articulator, so you're a good storyteller. But the reason of a story was to create hope and ambition and preservation for your community.
Yeah. Frederick says, good point. AI made 3D animated movie production are an all-time high. Oh, AI made 3D animated movies production are an all-time high. He's saying they're coming out quickly. Plethora. Bean Burrito says they should remake X-Files with host, colleague, and elder. What would be the what would they call the three gunmen or the lone gunman? Remember the three guys? Is it? I can't remember their names.
I think I'd be the
Frohickey and
I'd just be the guy generalizing the archetypal narrative. It's like, and now they are going into this secret base, and then you would probably see elder and colleague doing something.
Yeah, that's interesting. We have to look up the lone gunman from X-Files. That's I think that would be amusing. You'll have to check that out, host, if you can put a picture up of the lone gunman from X-Files. And Bill says, is Trump going to release the alien files tonight?
No, I think I don't remember. Did I talk about that in the beginning? But I think he's going to assert the idea of
the voter fraud.
Yeah, and then use that as a justifying red carpet to convince the public that they need to federalize election control. Well, under the Constitution, election control is supposed to be controlled by the states. But his argument is always going to be it's state corruption of voter fraud and international fraud, like from Russia. So the push is to nationalize it. And the simplest way for him to do that is by making voting itself and registration a more difficult process. Because I've talked about this before as a PSYOP. A simple example would be a participant non-voluntary. Like, let's say that you are a part of a company, and this company in the very early stages, like in the early 90s, you had the option to join a 401. Like, you didn't automatically get 401s. Like, they asked you, do you want a 401k or not? And you had the option to accept it and reject. But after 2006, I forgot what the law was called, but they passed this law which made companies having the ability to automatically enroll you into a 401.
Oh,
and then now you have the option to reject it and come out of it, but there's a whole process. But what they found out was once people get into a system, they rather just continue with it than deal with the process of getting out of it. Yep. And so they don't force you by default to that you can't get out, but they just know the probability of you going through the process to get out is so high, you'll just stay in. And so I think it's the same association. It's like if we can force a negation strong enough, people just won't participate in voting because it's too difficult. Instead of going through the process to get it, like you can't vote without a passport. But then they're going to make getting a passport very difficult, especially for women, because women had their name changed because of marriage. Now you need to go find your original birth. You got to get your birth certificate with the original name. You have to get your marriage license that had your name before your change. You have to have all this stuff, and then you can finally get your passport and all this stuff. And then nationalized citizens have to go through a more rigorous process to get. So now you're making this process of valid voter registration so difficult that it's not like they say you can't, but people don't want to go through the process. So it just now specializes in the people that have easy access, and that's going to force a certain group of people to vote.
Well, especially if it's expensive, the poor people literally wouldn't be able to afford to go through the process of registering.
Right.
If there's like fees involved.
It's $150 or whatever. You have to send your original birth certificate in, and then you have to hope that they send it back. You got to send the original in. If you're not renewing, if you're renewing, you don't have to do that. But if it's after 10 years, you can't renew. So if your passport is older than 10 years and it's expired, you can't renew. You have to apply for a new passport. If you apply for a new passport, you have to send in your original birth certificate. And a lot of people, they may have never got a passport, and now you're going to have to send in your original birth certificate. And what if they keep it?
A lot of people don't have their original birth certificate.
Yeah, now you're going to have to call the state that you were born in. You're going to have to get that sent to you, and then you're going to have to send that in. It's just this whole thing just so I can vote. And so you just make the process difficult, and that isolates a whole demographic of people that you probably don't want them to vote anyway.
Yeah. Everybody's got a plan, an agenda. Frederick says Alien Files with a little alien icon. Traveler says, and I quote, "I've had all I can stands and I can't stands no more." From Popeye. Okay. Bill says they made a black version of that show and it was called the Malcolm X Files.
Malcolm X
Files, yeah. Bean Burrito says, haha, Iron Man. Yeah, I agree. And then Bean Burrito says, Lost is a fantastic show. Bean Burrito, someday we'll have to get into a discussion of how that show ended. The show itself was fantastic. They just didn't know how to land it. And I think the landing, pardon the pun, because the show was about a crashed plane, but I think the plot crashed at the end. Yeah, anyway. That's a discussion for another time, but I'd be happy to discuss it with you. Bill says Mad TV did a parody called the Triple X Files, and they were scraping samples off the ceiling from a porn shoot where the actor was shot.
Oh, that's a lot of DNA.
Yeah, I'll say. And then Frederick, in his indomitable style, has said, "Small PP gang rise up."
Oh. Well,
I don't know. Unless he's communicating to someone else who's on the channel somewhere listening, and it's a code to, like the bank heist they're going to pull off or something. I don't know. But if it's one of those Ocean's movies, I'd like to see it.
That's kind of like the argument of IQ. I mean, what are you going to do?
PP gang rise up.
I mean, some people are endowed and some people are not. Some people have high IQ. Some people don't. It's like, what are you going to do about it?
Rise up.
That's a very hard metric to generate positivity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you heard about stroking the ego.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So there you go.
some people like corn dogs.
Yes. Yes. Um, being,
Mm.
oh, see now I really do feel like colleague. It's like, oh, Bean Burrito says, I wonder if ancient Rome had a rainbow version of their flag.
I don't think they demonized that. You know, in those times, homosexuality isn't like it was today. It's very normal, like Spartan. The
Oh
Spartan
yeah,
warriors, they would choose a young boy to raise up together, and they would have sexual relations because they believed this would make a bond, one that would even lead to them giving their life for one another.
yeah,
And so for them, I don't think it was like how we see it as like some kind of identity or some kind of function of who I am as a person, as much as just a byproduct of either
it's just a
efficiency
practice.
or
Yeah,
desire. It's like you just wanted that. That's just
yeah,
something you just do. Like some people, it's as disgusting as we think it is. Some people preferred young children. Some people preferred animals. Some
yeah.
people
Rome.
preferred. Again, I think we are retrojecting our ideas into ancient times.
Um, yeah. Well, oh, I would also say that Rome became pretty depraved along the way too. They were doing some pretty disgusting stuff before it fell. And a lot
Well,
of people draw the comparison that, well, the United States is becoming more depraved, and eventually we're going to fall just like Rome.
I don't know if the depravity, that's a subjective thing. Again, that's our worldview. We're retrojecting our worldview. I would say high levels of hedonism is actually what causes a nation to fall, because this causes entitlement and assumptive negation to your own ability. Like, you just assume you're good. You just start to assume you're the best. And that assumption leads you to be more lackadaisical. Like, you start saying, I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about that. And now this gives time for your opponent to build up, because now they are the underdog. The underdog's always fighting now to take over. And because you're lazy, it's a tortoise and hare thing. You're lazy, so now slowly, incrementally, your opposition isn't lazy, so they're building up. I think a fall of a nation is the idea of hedonism. Once hedonism gets to its max potential, every nation will fall.
Yeah, but don't you think hedonism leads to depravity, or
Well,
some
depravity is subjective.
depraved actions? I mean,
It depends
yeah.
on what somebody thinks depraved is.
I think we could all agree that certain practices are just depraved. Period.
Well, it's retrojective, because, I mean, ancient cultures didn't think pedophilia was depraved. And these are great nations, like as in the size and success. But we would say that's not just that's farther than I would call depraved. That's more than depraved. But that's a retrojection. I can't say that's what caused all these great nations to fall, because they all had practicing pedophilia. I would say that's heinous, but that's not what caused the nations to fall.
You know, there's something in human nature when it becomes corrupted.
Now,
Beyond.
corruption, that's different. I would say that's a byproduct of hierarchical abuse of hedonism. Hierarchical or authority abuse of hedonism creates corruption. Now, corruption is different. Yeah, I think corruption leads to falls, abuses of power.
Okay. Let's see where we're up to. Oh yeah, we were talking about small PP gang rise up, and then we talked about Bean Burrito and the flag. Okay, so we're down to Bill, and he said, I took 3 years of Latin in high school. Woohoo! Go Latin. And my teacher said it was all about sexual with the male and female words. Well, isn't that kind of what we were mentioning before about the sword in the sheath? And yeah. And then he says, my Latin teacher was left-handed, and the nuns would make him write with his right hand. During class, he would write with his left and right hand, at the same time writing the same sentence. It was unbelievable. Mr. Kelly from St. Joe's Prep.
Well, shout out to Mr. Kelly.
Yeah.
That's a skill.
And I don't know what else he said. Bill says, "Make me president." Oh, I don't know.
Do you really want to take on that kind of puppetry? I mean, you think that actually is real power, or you think that's just the highest level of puppetry? I don't think I want to be a president.
You'd have to deal with the slits in the liner of the reflecting pool. You know, there's so many things. Noah says, Malcolm X Files, laugh my butt off. That's good. Oh, and then Bill says, who remembers Larry Ferrari? Absolutely. The organ player. On Sundays, I think he would do Larry Ferrari show. He would sit and play that massive organ.
I have no clue who that is.
He's a local celebrity. Yeah, you'd have to be from Philadelphia to know this. And I think he used to play the Wanamaker, that grand organ in Wanamakers. I think he used to play that too, if I'm not mistaken. Bill, you could probably chime in on that. Bill says, LOLOLO. And then he says, you want to meet my pickle. Yeah, Bill, what is, do you have like 1 minute you're saying this fascinating stuff.
See, every time he says these things, now I'm thinking, what kind of presidency would this be?
Yeah, there you go. Although I'm sure there are many presidents
that have said, President Pickle.
Do you want to see my pickle?
Yeah, it's President Pickle.
That's president material, man.
Sounds like wow.
And he says, sounds like, what? He says, sounds like something Lindsey Graham would do.
Oh, you ain't here no more, so you ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, just like good old Sam Neill. Bean Burrito said, I wonder what Mountain Dew flavor will be associated with what natural disaster or worldwide news in the future. Remember that? Man, yeah, we used to do that every week. Talk about Mountain Dew.
So I think the first one's going to be it's going to be Summer Freeze. Summer Freeze because of the Super El Nino. And then you're going to get Pitch Black with the electromagnetic solar flare wipeout. So it's going to be first Summer Freeze, and then it's going to be Pitch Black.
There it is. Yeah, cool. And make sure I buy some more ammo. Let's see what we got. Bill says, I'm down with the garden. I got a whole hydroponic setup outside. Oh, it's interesting. Bill said, my parents will talk about the fireside chats. I had a color TV when I wasn't racist. Oh, Bill. And Frederick says, Iron Man the retard. I'm not sure we can say that word, but I'll say it because I'm reading it. But Noah said, Dreamkeeper is a super good movie. It's about a grandson and a grandfather telling him old stories while they're traveling to a powwow. It should be on YouTube still. Okay, I'll check that out. Also, I know, Noah, you recommended a show to me called Brain Dead. I want to check that out too. I looked at the trailer, which does look amusing. So I will check that out and give you some feedback. Tommy Boy says, I got to call in next week. I feel like Thursday is always crazy busy.
Yeah, well, we welcome you to call in.
Absolutely. It would be good to hear you. And let me just open that up to anyone. I mean, seriously, there's 3 other slots, and
there's just 3 now. I mean, if we have more people, I can add as many people as we want. It's just we really haven't had that situation.
Yeah, that might become slightly unmanageable, but you know what? I'm willing to try the experiment, right, host?
Hey, if people are willing to have a conversation and at least provide a conversational etiquette, then
Yeah, that would be important. That's true.
yeah, sure. I mean, I
Yeah.
love to hear people's opinions. I feel
Yeah, we'd
like
have
I'm
to have a
just
moderator, I think, but,
yeah, I feel like
yeah, I'm down with
I
it.
talk too much and I'm talking a lot and I'm just I enjoy the um, other side of the perspective, and of course I'm going to have my rebuttal or contrarian perspective to it. But I think that makes things more fun than just me being this guy who's just spitting a bunch of data.
Well, I think you have many wisdoms to share with people, and I know they appreciate it, so, um,
But that's where colleague plays in. Like he gives the alternative perspective.
yeah, yeah. Me, I'm just a commentator, I'm like Howard Cosell.
Well, sometimes you
Um,
posit the thing that me and colleague aren't seeing.
it's yeah, it's always interesting to have a third voice.
Yeah.
Um, Colleague, do you agree with that?
Yes,
I thought I saw a move. I
he
thought he
did.
just gave a very slight nod,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't wanna break his concentration. He's been doing really good. I'm gonna see if I can we got 15 minutes. I'm gonna see if I can get through these, last few chats here. Um, so here we go. Bill says, "Popeye's girlfriend, Olive Oil, her brother's name is Castor Oil." No joke. I don't know that, but that's cool. That's pretty good. Um, Noah says, "Is the lost plane is the same plane from Donnie Darko?" Oh, that's that's interesting. I I don't think so, but that would be really cool if they did that. Donnie Darko, weird movie, but pretty good. I mean, it's still a good movie, just weird. Bill says, do everyone a huge favor and do not call in Tom. Listening to you is like listening to a groundhog snore." Oh, wow.
You know,
And
I
then
feel
Bill
like
goes on,
if Iron Man was president, we're gonna have censorship.
oh, I don't know, man. Having them 2 on the
Well, at
same
least it's
time,
gonna be Tom's gonna be censored.
I was gonna say that might be literally the last show we're ever being able to stream if Bill and Tom were on at the same time. That could be the end of the Matrix network as we know it. Um, and Bill says, "No call-ins." And Tom says, "Ha ha ha. Okay, fair enough." And then Iron Man says, "Tom, you're about as interesting as wallpaper." And Bill says, "Great news." Noah says, "When the Goths sacked Rome, most of their army were Roman citizens pissed off at the government." Hmm. Tommy says, "Destroying children eventually bites a society in the end." Well, that's kind of the point I was making, but um, then Bill says, "You you could be morally corrupt. All that butt stuff with the ancients was mind control." Noah says, let me move up a little. "Consuming your children to live another day." Yeah, that's pretty sick. Um, Hell yeah, I'd turn into Caligula. Oh, Bill, I have no doubt. Bean Burrito says, "Jacob from Lost would never let children be slaves." Hmm. Bean Burrito says, "Mountain Dew collection. Rock on America." Um, Bill says, "Tom's mom plays my massive organ too." Oh God, I feel like I'm back in high school. Jeremy, I wonder where you were hiding. Jeremy
Hmm.
Henneberry says, "Just got off work. It burns me out when I miss 90% or more of the Thursday show due to work." Yeah, that does suck.
Oh, at least you made it now, and you can always rewatch it.
Yeah, that is true. I know you can't participate, but I'll tell you though, what you can do is watch it later, and please feel free to leave comments because we read them and we'll respond. So, and this goes for everyone. If you miss part of the show or whatever, just watch the recording, comment down in it, and we read the comments and comment on the comments. So there you go. Um, let's see. Bill says, "I'm brain injured or something." God bless you, sir. Um, all right. Well, I think we're all in some form Brain damage.
And you're on the live chats, right?
That's humanity. Yeah, I am on live. Noah says the philosophers of old also called each other retards. Bean Burrito says, welcome to the show, Jeremy. Bill says, I might be retarded, but people say I'm kind of funny. Maybe that's the retard part. I'm not sure. Bill says, my life became unmanageable under alcohol, so I stopped. But I wish I could be one of those people that could only have 3 or 4 beers. Wow. I'll tell you what, Bill, 3 or 4 would do me under, man. I guess I'm a teetotaler. I mean, I still like having a beer, but I think 2 is my limit. And I start getting, yeah. Anyway, Bill says, not a case and a fifth of vodka a day. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Yeah, that's a bit much. Bill says, I used to set my alarm for 5:30 in the morning to wake up to listen to Preston and Steve and start drinking. It was a sad existence. Yeah. Well, let me just say that it's really good that you were able to, put that behind you. And, you should be proud that you've been sober for as long as you have. And yeah, I give you a shout out, Bill. Good job. Now, if only we could figure out how to get you to stop being so prejudiced, be great. Because other than that, um, he said, I'd be civil. I would have screw with your show. I'd be civil. I would have screw with your show. I don't know. Um, I wouldn't. I'd be civil. I wouldn't have screwed with your show. Oh. Um. Hmm. Well, we certainly, don't want you to go back, but
Well, it makes it entertaining, so it is what it is.
Yeah. I just, I just, I guess part of my brain is I want to make sure we're not losing any folks that may be offended by the kind of extreme talk. I mean, a little bit, I can understand a little, implications and things, but yeah, I just make sure that everyone feels that they're, that they're comfortable coming in and
You got to
discussing
be
in the
careful,
chat.
Elder. You remember Poplar's paradox.
Yeah, I know. I want there to be an open, hey, freedom of speech is freedom of speech, even if people disagree with you or hate what you're saying. You know, I certainly don't want to listen to a Nazi speak, but in this country, the Nazi has the freedom of speech to give his spiel. It's true. That's what we defend. We can't be choosers. It's true. But being civil, is another thing. But all right, I'm almost down to the end here. Bean Burrito says, Elder, do you prefer Snorks or Smurfs as slaves? Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a good one. And the last comment, I say that it's 6:53 here, so we're getting close to 7:00. And the last comment says from Traveler, don't read this. There you go.
You read it. What we're going to do.
Yeah. That's like saying, yeah, play the chicken game. Don't look at the chicken. Too late. You lose. It's a shirt that has a chicken on it, and it says, play the chicken. Don't look at the chicken. And it says, you lose. Oh, Bill said, pride is one of the deadly sins. I thank Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. Yeah, I always thought it kind of ironic that the LGBTQ group chose the concept of the pride flag and pride parades, because again, pride is one of it's a deadly sin. And honestly, in Christian belief, pride is really what led Adam and Eve to fall. It was their pride that caused it. They wanted to be like God, and it was their pride that caused them to get kicked out of paradise and create this crap that we live in now. So, yeah, pride is not necessarily a good thing. You can take pride in your work or whatever, but overall, yeah, I think pride is not necessarily a good thing.
Well, let me take a spin on that.
Yeah.
I come from a Eastern culture, and we have different constructs on this. You don't hear about pride in Eastern culture, East Asian culture. you hear honor. Everything
Mm,
we do is because of honor,
yeah.
and we want to be honorable. Everything we do is in the idea that our honor is what we are maintaining. And we have our honor in our country. We have honor in our activities. We present everything in the ambitions of being the representation of this honor. But that's because it's collective. Collectiveness prioritizes honor. Individuality prioritizes pride.
Oh, wow.
So when you focus
Interesting.
on what I am, that's when you become prideful
Hmm.
because you think I am this thing. But when you think about honor, it's on the ambition of the other. Who is the other? Because honor is not self attributed, honor is given. And so when somebody says you are being honorable or that is honorable or your idea of you're projecting honor because there's a collective idea of this honor. And so for me, it's the idea of I want to walk in honor. I don't want to walk in pride because if it's pride, I'm not doing my activities or functions or contributions for the collective, for someone else. I'm doing it for self gratification and hedonism, my gain. And of course, I'm going to be prideful because pride associates a self centerism. And so I would think that's the difference. I think it's very good. Even in Western cultures, you see honor. That's why they say this is an honorable soldier. They call soldiers an honorable man. A hero. He did something. But what does that mean? A hero is doing something for the collective, for the other. That's what makes him a hero. You never hear about a hero who's done something just for them.
Yeah, that's true. It's usually, yeah,
It's
sacrificing
a
themselves
collective.
for others. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
collective function.
Yeah.
And so if you do things in the function of honor, it replaces this idea of pride. It can act as the same and look as the same, but the intentionality and what gets reciprocated is for the other. It's not for me. And you walk in that. You walk in honor.
Yeah. Yeah. We could learn a lot, in my opinion, from Eastern culture, but they have some really fascinating ideas that are very old. It's not like it just popped up recently. They've been around for quite some time.
Well, it is very foreign. Like for me, it's very foreign to think about pride. And it's not because of some religious construct, it's just embedded. It's like it's just foreign. It's very strange.
Mm. Uh, oh man, people got a couple more minutes. I'll see if I can just get through some of these real quick. If not, people are always welcome to read them afterwards. Um, uh, come up here. Let's see what we got. Um, Bean Burrito says, "One love, everyone in chat, host, elder, and absent colleague. One love, dude. One love."
Well, Colin will be
Um,
back. Colin will be back next week.
yeah. Well, he's here now, but I think he'll be more conscious
Yeah, he won't
next
just be
week.
here in spirit. He'll be here
Yeah.
in word and
Um,
truth.
Yeah. Bill brings up a good point. Hate speech is free speech.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
unfortunate but true. Yeah.
I'm
Because
an
once you start making hate
absolutist.
speech, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, I'm an absolutist when it comes to free speech. I don't
Yeah.
care how offensive. I don't care how heinous it is.
Yeah.
Your speech should not be consequential for the ability to say it, but that does not negate the consequences of your society.
Right.
You can. I believe you should be able to say freely anything you want without the consequential threat of saying it. But that doesn't
Yes.
mean the people around you and your social
Yeah.
group won't give you a consequence for saying it because they don't like it. They have a right
Yeah.
to do it. They can ostracize you. They can say, I don't want to associate with you. They don't want to
Because
do
that's their
business with
free
you.
speech. If they like,
Right.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
that's a good
think
point.
there should be no federalized assumption of threat because of words.
Yeah, what they're doing over in England is terrifying, and I hope it doesn't make it here. But yeah, it's some scary stuff going on as far as free speech. Let's see where we at here. Bean Burrito says, keep free speech. He also says, Elder knows who the others are. Tommy says, have you ever dug into GPS via quantum magnetometry, host or elder? I've never heard of that, but obviously when I get off the show here, I am going to look into it to see what the heck it is. Sounds interesting. Let's see. Bean Burrito says the others are from Lost. Yep. Kind of interesting. Tommy Boy says, IDK, just want to talk about something interesting rather than what seems obvious. Well, it depends on some things are obvious to some folks and not others. Some things are interesting to some folks and not others. It's, try to balance it out. Bill says there was that dummy Eve. She wanted more and more, like most women. Nothing is ever good enough. Noah says the pride flag is a 4chan troll. 4 of them lined up right makes a swastika out of the triangles. Oh, that's the most recent one with the triangles. That's interesting. And then Noah says one for the history books. He says they added black and brown because the black and Hispanic communities aren't very LGBT friendly. Yeah, LMAO. Bean Burrito says England is falling hard. Yes, it's true. It's they might be on their road to Rome tour. And that is it. I just want to say before we sign off that I did want to talk about what I consider one of the biggest conspiracies of our age, and it's right open in everyone's face, and almost everyone is taking part of this conspiracy, and it is the modern medical insurance scam that we're all subject to. So think about that during the week, and I think I'll bring it up next week early so we can discuss it. But I'm sure everyone has a story where they were screwed over by medical insurance. Something happened to my family this week that just totally angered me to no end. And these companies are out of control, and they're not there to help people. They're there to make money and profit. And anyway, next week, let's try to talk about that. Host, back to you.
Oh, yeah. Dealing with the medical field, that's its own thing. I have my assumptions about that, but I think the United States is very particular with its care of medical sources, and I think it needs more than a reform. But yeah, we could definitely talk about that next week. And it's a tough thing. Like I was talking to Elder before the recording, it's hard to conversate openly there's another logical fallacy. It's called ad hominem, which means you attack not the argument. You associate a disqualification of somebody's proposition or statement because of their character or association. It's an ad hominem fault. It's a logical fallacy. So if I say, I think that the government should not monopolize healthcare, and healthcare should be a universal function because it's not something that somebody has a qualifying ability to choose. You can't choose. If you gave me the options of, do I pay $100,000 or I die, I don't really have a choice here. That's like a gun to my head. You have not weaponized my health. Of course I'm going to choose my health, and I will go into poverty for the sake of my health. You have weaponized something outside of my circumstance. But having this conversation leads at an hominin function, which is, that sounds like communism. That sounds like socialism. You have associated my argument not on the prepositions of my argument. You've associated my argument being bad because it's associated with this dogma narrative called communism or socialism. And I think that's what becomes very difficult of having conversations without people demonizing ideas simply because of dogma or your worldview or your current belief. you have to take conversations of the argument on itself, or you can't really have a honest conversation. You're just going to be an echo chamber, a regurgitating AI, an NPC of your social tribe. You're not going to have a real conversation. So that's another thing to think about when you talk about these kind of sensitive topics. You have to really open yourself to what is the argument saying, and which argument sounds like it's better for the collective community as us as humans, comparative to what is good for just me.
Yeah.
Because I can always say what's good for me, but if it's all about me, that means many will suffer for my sake. It should be the other way around. How much can I sacrifice so for the collective? Because you know what they say, if everybody share, everybody receives, but if everybody takes, nobody's getting anything. But see, again, that's going to people say, it comes I can hear it, that sounds like socialist or communist or something.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll have to agree going into this discussion that we'll have to set that aside for now, just for the openness of the discussion and the idea, just to throw ideas out there too. Because I know you and I discussed some things before the show, host, and if we bring those up next week, we people might think it's odd, but I think we just have to kind of go into it with an open mind, because it's a mess. It's an absolute mess, and we have to try to push something to get reform started. And I don't think it's assassinating people. Um, you know, if you recall that one medical insurance person was working for one of the companies, and he was assassinated on the street by
Well, I thought
Luigi.
you were talking about the acceptance of human valuation based upon contribution. If you are assumed to be terminally ill, the value assumption is that your contribution is null, so you should be abrogated. Let's just kill people.
Oh, well, that's another that's another side subject other than this. That maybe I don't know. Maybe insurance companies will start advocating for that, so they don't have
They
to
already
pay
do
for.
across the world. The assumption that under 12 is available for euthanasia.
Oh yeah, I did read about that. Right. Yeah.
So is it becoming a idea that they want to normalize that your contribution is the value of your existence? So the best thing to do is weaponize the idea of contribution. So therefore, we can just get rid of them. It's basically Hunger Games.
Now that sounds like communism.
That just sounds like capitalism.
If you're not producing, well, I was saying if you're not producing, though, right?
Well, let's get even more deeper. That
produce,
sounds
right?
like corporatism, or shout out to Mussolini, like fascism.
Yeah, corporatism. True. Yeah. If you can't produce.
For the state, by the state, of the state.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone for the kind words in the chat. It wasn't it was serious, but it wasn't like life threatening. And I'll bring some of it up next week. And also, we could talk about the legitimacy of compounded pharmaceuticals. I'm curious what people's take is on that as an alternative to big farm stuff, brand name stuff. Anyway, next week looks like we can we have some interesting.
I guess you could interject also AI propagation of the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
Because remember, when things get cheaper because R&D becomes cheaper, the assumption is that things should be cheaper. But when you weaponize healthcare, you're just going to see profit spread.
More profit. Yeah, absolutely.
And so now I'm just going to continue the profit even though R&D has become minimized. That's hyper-capitalism.
Unbelievable. Well, hosts, I don't know. Are we? It's 10 after 7. Are we? Is it time?
We get in. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I don't have anything pressing since colleague isn't here, but it's up to you.
Well, actually, I'm starting to get a little hungry. Okay. Not that I want to shut down, but with my own medical conditions, I need to be careful as far as eating is concerned. Yeah,
fair enough.
Tommy says they want boomers dead. I really got to watch out for myself. Uh,
Yeah, there is
anyway,
some kind of strange opposition. I don't know if it's propaganda as much as associated and dogma integrated with propaganda, but there is definitely this push to demonize boomers. And there's probably some justification, but you know what they say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, again, it's a logical fallacy of composition. All boomers, because some boomers want to maximize their retirement, you can't assume that all boomers want to maximize their retirement on the backs of assumption that the lower class or the millennials or the younger generations have to pay the price, and it doesn't matter. I can't. We should never assume that's an assimilation of all boomers, but that's what happens with propaganda. They take some truth and then hyperbolicize it, the demon, to create a divide, demonize it. Yeah. But anyways, it was a good conversation as always. If anybody wants to join in next week, feel free to do such. Earlier the better, but if you can't tune in and join in, that's fine. You guys can always rewatch, so appreciate you chiming in late, Mr. Jeremy, and anybody else. But next week I'm sure it's going to be more back to the routine with a colleague here. But as always.
Well, I was going to say, hopefully folks still enjoy the show with colleagues' absence. I know he adds a lot to the show, but hopefully folks still had a good time.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely different without colleague. It's a different vibe for sure. And I'm not as
confrontational.
I don't know. I'm not as I don't have that heavy of a sense of humor. So, and humor is very important to help absorb truth, because sometimes truth is too divisive when you just say it as what it is. Yes. And so that humor allows the absorption to be more efficient. So it's a very important part. And I don't really possess that ability.
That's not completely true.
Well, I can play satire for sure,
but at times,
yeah, but I'm not. I can do mockery and satire, but I can't interject like real comedy.
That's a form of comedy, my friend. Yeah. People make a living with it, so it's all good.
Well, anyways, I appreciate all you guys tuning in. As always, I always love talking, enjoying the conversation. I guess that's about it. But as always, this fine gentleman here, that's Elder. A frozen man here, that's colleague, and I'm host. And until next time, we'll see you guys next Thursday here at the Matrix Network, a sub of Toilet Time Television.